Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant Landon with you this afternoon. No Brett Norsworthy today. He's off, but he'll be back with us on Friday. J-Ham with us as well this afternoon. Going to help us out a little bit producing. A lot to get to today. A Wednesday. The NFL gets started tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk a lot about tomorrow night's game, Cowboys and the Eagles. We'll talk a lot about the weekend in the NFL. Talk a ton of college football. Coach Tommy West going to join us. In our next segment, David Cohn at 4 o'clock. We'll even get into the Arkansas State side of the Arkansas State game. We'll do that in our final hour. Kara Ritchie from the Arkansas State Radio Network. She will join us to talk all things Arkansas State. So a lot to get to over the next 3 hours. Speaking of the NFL, The Athletic put out a hope-o-meter for the upcoming season, how much the fans have hope going into the season. And I'll be honest, Landon, your Titans are kind of middle of the road.
I can believe that.
Got the number one pick, got a new quarterback. You're kind of restarting everything, so maybe understandably some hope there. Cowboys, I'll just go ahead and say this. Cowboys, third to worst team in the NFL in terms of hope going into 2025. And I should say...
Only in terms of hope?
Only in terms of hope. They're the third most pessimistic fan base in the NFL, and this came out before the Micah Parsons trade. So,
wow.
If we redid it...
Is there an updated list of now what's going on?
They need to figure out an updated list. But we will talk a little bit about that, a lot of NFL later in the show. But I do want to start today's show by talking about this story that dropped very early this morning. I think 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Pablo Torre, who was... been with ESPN. He's now with The Athletic. He also has his own podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out. And today he had a story. It was an hour and 20-minute podcast that he put up talking about how Kawhi Leonard got to the Los Angeles Clippers and kind of the funding behind him becoming a Clipper. I already wanted to talk about it, but I thought we were going to save it till later in the show. But now, just coming out a couple minutes before we started today's show, the NBA has released a statement saying that they're basically looking into the reporting that happened this morning from Pablo Torre. Mark Stein reported that NBA spokesman Mike Bass put out a quote, "We are aware of this morning's media report regarding the LA Clippers, and we are commencing an investigation." So the NBA at least saying that they are going to investigate this story from Pablo Torre about what happened with Kawhi Leonard. Landon, have you seen anything from this story? It was pretty big. If you were on social media earlier this morning, I think it would have been hard to miss, but have you seen much of this Kawhi Leonard story?
I know it's been headlining ESPN all day long.
Has it? So I have not been able to see much of ESPN today. So ESPN has been talking about
Yes,
it. Okay.
I pulled up the article, and they were going into depth about how it was captured on this guy's show and all the little things that they were talking about the behind the scenes, about him getting around his $176.3 million contract, and how two of the companies that the Clippers have been working with have declared bankruptcy long before all of this came to light. So they're just like, what are we doing here? Why are we launching an investigation? But it seems to be launching up pretty big right now.
Yeah, it's an insane story, and this is the first kind of the starter of the story from The Athletic about this basically bombshell from Pablo Torre. It said, quote, "Kawhi Leonard allegedly received a lucrative no-work contract from a now-bankrupt environmental company with direct ties to his team, the LA Clippers, and franchise owner Steve Ballmer, so that he could be paid more money without it counting against the NBA salary rules, according to accusations made by former employees of the firm." Pablo Torre reported this again earlier today in a 1 hour and 20-minute podcast. He goes into all this detail about this company that was started kind of 2020, 2021, where it was these two guys. They were Harvard graduates, and they decided that they were going to create this company that was going to be super environmental friendly. It was going to offset some of the carbon footprint and carbon emissions, and that basically they were going to plant a bunch of trees and kind of do all this stuff for the environment. They got a bunch of big names involved: Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert Downey Jr., Drake, Orlando Bloom, Sidney Crawford. Like, that's just a couple of or a handful of names that were associated with this company. And basically, long story short, they have this company. Steve Ballmer ends up developing a relationship with one of the owners of this company. And all of this was kind of happening around the time or a little bit after Kawhi Leonard signed his first contract with the Los Angeles Clippers. If you remember, back in 2019, he signed a 3-year, $103 million max contract with the LA Clippers. And at that point, and J-Ham, he's standing right behind you, I'm sure he can agree with this, that when that happened and it was announced that Kawhi Leonard was going to join the Clippers, everyone was shocked. Nobody could really believe or could really fathom how could the Clippers get this done, because especially at that point, they were still very much the little brothers to the Lakers. And, there were a lot of talks behind the scenes about his uncle and kind of his team wanting more and kind of wanting some extra stuff from whatever team ended up signing him. And so Pablo Torre goes into kind of all of the documents from this company. And when they filed for bankruptcy, Aspiration, that's the name of the company, when they filed for bankruptcy, they owed money to different companies. And in the bankruptcy filing, the fourth most money owed was to an LLC titled KL2 Aspire LLC. Now, Landon, there's a little bit of a test here. Can you decipher what KL2 stands for? Any guesses?
I don't think I have anything for you there.
Kawhi Leonard and the number he wears, number 2.
Well, that makes sense.
K2L Aspire, or KL2 Aspire LLC, which he found the LLC filing, the name listed under the manager member name was Kawhi Leonard, and they had to pay $28 million, or in the endorsement agreement to KL2, they had $28 million of cash that they were paying to that LLC, and $7 million each year of the term. And so basically, the long story short of all of this is that Pablo Torre is alleging that Steve Ballmer, who I should mention, Steve Ballmer funded or joined a company that invested $315 million into this company, and it was $50 million directly from Steve Ballmer's LLC. So Pablo Torre is basically saying, and former employees of this company have come out and told Pablo Torre that this investment and this money that was given to this company was given or allowed them to give Kawhi Leonard this contract and this extra money basically to go around the salary cap so that the Clippers could get the star player Kawhi Leonard. And at the time, now we know his career has been kind of wild because of injuries and different things. But at the time, you were getting a guy that was a finals winning player, a team that led the Toronto Raptors and was a can't miss all-star in the league. That all of this was to go around the salary cap, and basically Kawhi Leonard had to do nothing in return for this. No appearances, no signings,
no show contract,
no post, nothing. And in the contract, they read it and they showed pictures of the documents that basically said there are some things Kawhi Leonard has to do, but if it goes against his beliefs, lowercase b, they made note to mention that it was a lowercase b, not a capital B, because
that's very important.
In documents, that is a big deal. That if it went against his lowercase beliefs, that he didn't have to do it. So basically, he just said, I don't want to do that. And nobody could question him, and nobody could do anything. And the only thing in his contract that led to a termination of his contract was if he played for a different team that was not the team listed in the contract, which was the Los Angeles Clippers, it would trigger a termination clause, and he would be terminated from the company. So I don't know where this is going to go and what the NBA is going to find, because the NBA has already investigated the LA Clippers on kind of how they got Kawhi Leonard and what they did for him to join the team, there's already been an investigation. And they basically said there's no evidence here that Steve Ballmer or the Clippers did anything extra to entice Kawhi Leonard to become a Los Angeles Clippers, but that if there were more information came out, that they would reopen the investigation and look into it. And now, at least according to the quote we just talked about, it seems like they could be reopening that investigation. And what comes from that, I really don't know. There is they mentioned a case that was somewhat similar to this back something like 20 to 25 years ago in the NBA.
2000?
I think it was in
with
2000.
The Timberwolves?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And what they did was when they did everything, they did their investigation, and they concluded that there was some wrongdoings that happened. They took away 5 first-round picks from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the problem...
And a $3.5 million
and some money,
fine.
but Steve Ballmer doesn't care about your fines.
That's nothing in
one
NBA.
of the richest guys in sports and whatever. He doesn't care about your fines. But they took away 5 first-round picks. The problem here, Landon, the Clippers have traded all their first-round picks away. Like they don't really have many first-round picks to be trading away that are their own first-round picks. So I really don't know what the NBA is going to do here. It sounds like they're going to open an investigation. I'll be honest, just watching the Pablo Torre, and again, like I have probably 2 pages worth of notes of just things that were notable that were said in this podcast from Pablo Torre about what happened here and what he was able to find in interviews he did with former employees. So if you have an hour and 20 minutes that you can spend watching this or listening to this, I would advise that. I mean, go listen to it. It's really good stuff in here. Listening to this, it feels like Steve Ballmer is pretty guilty on doing things.
Sounds like it, especially if they've already. You don't want to tie in the trades of the first round picks to this, but if knowing that was the punishment beforehand, I don't know. Could be a little bit of foresight, a little prophecy going on.
Well, and part of that, they traded a lot of the first round picks away to get Paul George. That was the big summer.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They traded to get Paul George. They traded SGA was a part of that trade and a bunch of first round picks to go get Paul George, to bring him to the Clippers, and then to get Kawhi Leonard to sign with the Clippers. So, I think there's a lot of information in here about this company, about kind of Steve Ballmer and the hand he played in this. Again, this company, Aspiration, was the first for the Intuit Dome. They were the arena sponsor for the Intuit Dome. So the relationship between Steve Ballmer and Aspiration was very close. I mean, they had a very good relationship. And again, former employees saying that his influx of money was kind of direct tie to being able to pay Kawhi Leonard for, again, really doing nothing. Now, other owners, I guess I should say former owners, are starting to come out in defense of Steve Ballmer. Mark Cuban put out a tweet saying, "I'm on Team Ballmer. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap, first, Steve isn't that dumb. If he tried to feed KL money, knowing that it was at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt, knowing all creditors would be visible to the world? They got scammed by Aspiration along with many others, crimes for which they pleaded guilty last week. Scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge deal. The better the team does, the more value the sponsorship has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole money from investors and want the Clippers to succeed, why not give stolen money to help keep their best player? It's sad that Pablo Torre didn't take time to find out how these scammers pulled off their scam. The idea that the default is Ballmer is the bad guy is going to backfire on him." So Mark Cuban basically saying, yeah, Kawhi Leonard was getting paid for not doing anything, and he was getting paid to be a part of the LA Clippers. All of that is fact, but what Mark Cuban is kind of saying is that the blame shouldn't be on Steve Ballmer for this, that he got scammed, and that it makes perfect sense that these scammers would want Kawhi Leonard to stay on the Clippers, and they would want to keep paying him money to be a Clipper because they do better when the Clippers do better. So I think a lot is going to come from this story. I'm very excited tomorrow when Keith Smith joins the show. We can talk with him about this and kind of figure out what really is going on here with the Clippers and this story, and if there is more news out there. But I mentioned Mark Stein and kind of what he said, that tweet about the fact that the NBA is opening an investigation. He also posted this earlier this morning after the story came out. Mark Stein, who I think, Landon, if you listen and you hear me talk about the NBA, I think you would know that I have great respect for Mark Stein and what he does covering the NBA. I love citing Mark Stein and his work. He tweeted this out earlier this morning. The alleged violations in this incredibly detailed Pablo Torre report are staggering and without precedent. The Clippers told Torre any assertion of wrongdoing involving Steve Ballmer or the team is provably false, a story that has shaken the NBA already like very few. So a big story out of the NBA. We'll talk a lot more about it tomorrow with Keith Smith. We might get back into it a little bit more at 5:30, but I felt like this was a big story that I wanted to at least make mention of as we started the show. But a very busy show this afternoon, so let me set it up before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Coach Tommy West, he'll join us. We'll talk some college football with him. We'll do a recap of week one, all of the big games around the country, and get his thoughts on everything that happened around the world of college football. 3:45, we'll talk some Major League Baseball. We really haven't talked a ton of Major League Baseball since the start of the football season, but we'll get into it a little bit at the end of this hour. A lot of good stories out there in Major League Baseball, and we're getting closer to postseason play. I saw Major League Baseball posted, if the playoffs started today, what the matchups would look like, and I'll tell you this right now, Landon, they look fun. From a baseball fan's perspective, you would get some pretty good matchups in the first round. I'm talking some rivalries like Mariners-Astros, Red Sox-Yankees. Those are the type of matchups that we would see to start the playoffs if it started today. Now, a lot can change over the next month until the end of the season. We'll talk some baseball at the end of this hour. 4 o'clock, David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company. He'll join us. We'll talk some more college football with him. Again, recap on everything that happened in week one, and we'll preview some of the games for week two. We'll certainly have to get his thoughts on Michigan and Oklahoma, seemingly the biggest game of the weekend in college football. 4:30, we'll talk some NFL, as again, the NFL gets started tomorrow night with Cowboys against the Eagles. We'll also get a Friday night game, Chiefs and Chargers, on YouTube. We've got some news of who might be playing in that game for the Chargers Friday night against the Chiefs, and we'll get into a couple of these games over the weekend as well. 4:45, we get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Kara Ritchie from the Arkansas State Football Radio Network. She'll join us. We'll talk a lot about Arkansas State and what she expects to see in that big game against Arkansas. And we'll get her thoughts of kind of what has this week been like around Arkansas State, the excitement to play Arkansas, and if she would consider this Arkansas State Super Bowl against the Razorbacks. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. A lot to talk about there. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Mo's Crunch Time. Well, let me remind you that we are always in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. And also, you can be a part of the show. Just hit up the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. Let us know your thoughts on anything and everything we discuss this afternoon. If you got a question for Coach Tommy West, go ahead and send that in. Love to ask him questions. I know that is a segment that a lot of people really love every single week. And your thoughts on this Kawhi Leonard story, because I do think it is a pretty massive story around the NBA. But let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, I do think it is what we spent the entire first segment talking about. It's Kawhi Leonard. It is Steve Ballmer. It is this company that is now filed for bankruptcy and is being investigated by pretty much everybody in the United States, and kind of what really happened in the Clippers going out and getting Kawhi Leonard. Again, according to Pablo Torre, there was a little bit of extra stuff going on behind the scenes, and I think Pablo Torre does a good job of maybe tying to the fact that Steve Ballmer played a role in this happening and was a factor in this. Now, again, I think there's two sides to every story, and we will probably find out more with the NBA. It looks like they are going to investigate this, but it's something that, I was listening to something earlier today. It was the Dan Lebitard's show because Pablo Torre works alongside them. And so they were talking about this story. They had Pablo Torre on, so I was watching. I wanted to hear more from Pablo Torre on this story. And they asked the question, so we're finding out this information now, and it's kind of easy to find out in terms of Pablo Torre finding out. This is a company that's gone bankrupt. If you do enough digging, he said it took 7 months to do this story and get all the information ready to really publish it. Do we really think this is the only time this has happened in professional sports, in sports that have the strict salary cap, that maybe a billionaire owner that could pay players as much as they want? Major League Baseball, you don't have to worry about that. There's no salary cap. Those owners can go out and say, we're going to budget this amount of money for our salary, and we're going to pay guys this amount of money. But in the NBA and the NFL and all these other leagues, they don't have that. So do we believe that Steve Ballmer is the first one to say, I'll find maybe a loophole around to go out and get star players? But then you kind of go back to Mark Cuban's tweet. Is he dumb enough to do that and put it on the line and then let it go bankrupt when, again, he has the money to go out there and say, well, I can keep this afloat. I can keep this business running so that all of this information doesn't become available to the public and where people like Pablo Torre can find this out and really out me for doing this. So I think it's a more complicated story than maybe what it just looks like of, hey, Steve Ballmer paid this company to pay Kawhi Leonard to do. Again, absolutely nothing. Pablo Torre referenced that he went through all of the history of Kawhi Leonard and kind of anything he could find about Kawhi Leonard online, and that at no point did he ever mention or post anything about aspiration or do any events with aspiration. That it was just he was getting a paycheck from aspiration. So again, we will talk more about this story, but a really big story in the NBA with the season just a month away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my top story, I'm going to take it a little bit of a different direction and kind of
Please do. Please
hopefully,
go to football because
I
we're
do.
spend a lot of. I hope nobody is listening and going, "Oh, geez, this is going to be a 3-hour show on basketball." No. Everything past this point will be football centric.
I'm here and I'm football, so
yes.
We're going to talk the football. Shout out to Darian on that. But I'm going to try and maybe give you Cowboys fans a little bit of hope because the NFL starts this week with the first game of the season being the Eagles and the Cowboys. And as head coach Nick Sirianni found out in a press conference, the Eagles will be raising their Super Bowl banner at the game to kick things off, which he had no idea what was happening. Went to a press conference, they said, and he was like, I didn't know we were doing that. So that was a surprise to him. But this is going to be an interesting game. I think a lot of eyes are going to be on this game. The Cowboys are coming fresh off of their Parsons trade to welcome in 29-year-old pro defensive tackle Kenny Clark to help their defense starting out, and they're also starting out with a new defensive coordinator in Matt Eberflus. The Cowboys secondary is a little bit weaker than the rest of the team, so they'll need to pressure Jalen as much as they can and do what they can to slow down Saquon Barkley. The Cowboys' best advantage in this game, I think, is going to be their passing game with CeeDee Lamb and bringing in George Pickens. I think a lot of that rests on the arm of Dak Prescott. However good Dak Prescott does is I think how good the Cowboys are going to do. And the Eagles secondary is still pretty young, but they have a lot of talent back there, but I think that's going to be a real help for them. But this might be the Cowboys' biggest advantage, and I think it's going to be their secret weapon for the game, and that is their special teams. A guy who is no stranger to nailing 50-plus yard field goals in Brandon Aubrey, and especially against the Eagles, who over the Eagles in the last year went 7 for 8 and 3 for 4 on kicks plus 50 yards away. So that's a really good sign that's going to be some guaranteed extra points for you guys on the field. And on top of that, the Cowboys also have a stud returner in Kevontae Turpin, averaging about 33.6 yards per return and a few kickbacks and puntbacks for touchdowns. This could be something really, really good for the Cowboys, and good news for you guys today is that Trayvon Diggs and starting offensive tackle Tyler Guyton have been activated off the IR and will be playing in Thursday's game, or at least they're expected to. So maybe there is a little bit of hope for you guys coming in to Thursday.
Not top story of the day.
Landon, nothing makes me feel better going into a game than, hey, you're playing a team that's going to be raising their Super Bowl banner. They've got all these great players coming back. You just lost your best player, but you got the advantage in the kicking department.
Hey, never sleep on special teams, man.
It's a third of the game.
It is a special part of the game that a lot of people overlook.
True point. It's a good point, but you also got to get into the field goal range to.
Nails 60-yard field goals, really good from 50+. You don't have to get that far down the field.
I don't know if offense is necessarily the issue to worry about tomorrow. I think it might be defense for the Cowboys. But I don't know. We'll see.
If the Bengals can somehow still win games while putting up 40 points a game and outscoring opponents,
I guess that's true.
You guys could do it.
Well, very quickly, my not top story of the day, it's got to be kind of like what you were saying, but not as much focused on tomorrow night's game, but it is the fact that the NFL gets started this weekend. Tomorrow night, we'll get the Thursday night football game, Cowboys at Eagles. That game, because it is the first Thursday night football game, as we know, most Thursday night games will be on Prime this year, but this one tomorrow night will be on NBC. Then Friday night, we'll get the game on YouTube between the Chiefs and the Chargers, and that will lead into a Sunday full of NFL games. And really excited, a lot of storylines to watch around. Obviously, tomorrow night with what do the Cowboys look like post Micah Parsons? What do the Eagles look like as they look to defend their Super Bowl? On Friday, the Chargers, another year with Jim Harbaugh as the head coach. What are the strides they've made over the offseason? And then, I'll be honest, Landon, I think one of the more intriguing games on Sunday is this Titans-Broncos game.
I had a feeling you were going to go there.
Everyone's really excited about this Broncos team, what Bo Nix did last year. How much does he improve going into year two, or do we see kind of that sophomore slump from him? And then on the other side, what do the Titans look like with Cam Ward at the quarterback? If you're talking about quarterback matchups, intriguing quarterback matchups, sure, there's a lot. It's the NFL. You got great quarterbacks all over the place. But I think that game in particular, when you talk about young quarterbacks, that'll be fun to watch because everyone wants to see what does Bo Nix look like in season 2? What does Cam Ward look like in year 1? And what will this offense kind of look like with him as a rookie? So I'm really looking forward to that one, an afternoon game in Denver.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Go Cam Ward. I believe in the guy. I believe in his attitude, everything he carries himself. I believe in him. Well, my not top story, we're going back to what we've been talking about a lot, but I'm not going to talk a lot about this Kawhi story. I want to talk about one funny thing that I found in the midst of all of this. In the ESPN article, they break down all the things that are going on with the Aspiration Company, Kawhi getting paid, all those kind of things. In the last paragraph, it's a very short one, they say this. The Clippers are also fighting a 2024 lawsuit by former strength and conditioning coach Randy Shelton, who sued the team and president of basketball operations Lawrence Frank, alleging wrongful termination in part for raising concerns about management of Leonard's health and injuries. So on top of all this, the Clippers are also fighting a lawsuit from 2024.
Yeah.
Clippers are just in a lot of trouble right now.
No, they really are. And again, it all surrounds one player, and that is Kawhi Leonard. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we return, we're talking college football. Our coach, Tommy West, he joins us next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
Does your system sound like this? Hi, this is Lauren Choate from Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. If your HVAC system is over 10 years old, then it's probably out of warranty. Don't wait for it to break down and cost you expensive repairs, but be proactive with this incredible deal from Choate's. Right now, for a limited time, for the first 50 customers, we're giving a free 10-year labor warranty plus $1,000 off a brand new Carrier system install. That's peace of mind and big savings. And that's not all. Thinking about a backup Generac generator? Or maybe endless hot water with a Rinnai tankless system? You'll also get $1,000 off plus a free 10-year labor warranty on those too. Since 1958, Choate's has been serving the Mid-South with old-fashioned service you can trust. So turn to the experts with Choates and call 347-8086 and let our family serve your family.
Listen up, Rebel fans. Your next winning drive starts at Landers Ford in Collierville. Their game plan is simple. Find you the most savings possible. Make a trade, lower your payments, or let them buy your vehicle even if you don't buy from them. That's how you keep moving the chains. Just like the Grove on game day. Fans all across the Mid-South keep coming back to the #1 Ford dealership in Greater Memphis. See them today in Collierville or online at LandersFordMemphis.com. When you own a Landers Ford, you get the support of a certified service tech with the Landers Ford Remote Service Experience Program. They pick it up, drop it off, or fix it on the spot, so you're never left watching from the sidelines. To finish the drive, the iconic Landers Easy Pass always brings more for your trade and the biggest discounts to put you in victory formation. And now, straight from the 1977 Ole Miss football team that took down #1 ranked Notre Dame, the final snap of the day from Landers Ford President Don Kitchens.
If it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
As reported on Ford's 2024 Total New Vehicle Retail Sales Report in Memphis Market.
Progressive knows RV owners like to travel at a nice, relaxing pace. Just like this commercial. They're not rushing to a departure gate at the airport because they depart from their driveway. And they can relax even more knowing they're protected by Progressive. Now here comes the fast part. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Ready to shine, Memphis? Save big on Club Car Wash's Best Wash this Tuesday for just $12. Stop by any 4 club locations in Greater Memphis or visit clubcarwash.com to learn more.
Club Car Wash. Join the club.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting a little bit heavier in the last few minutes with some traffic volume in and out of the Midtown area, especially coming southbound on 240 here at South Parkway. We've got a couple of wrecks in their cleanup stages out here. It's been busy with wrecks today. One was really bad earlier. It's back open, by the way, over there on I-40 at Warford, where it was closed earlier as traffic starts to get a bit heavier south of Memphis on 55 down through DeSoto County. Weimer's Jewelry want you to know they are your diamond engagement ring headquarters. So go by and see them at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Today, as he is out for the next 2 days. He is, I believe, in St. Louis, seeing some Cardinals baseball. But Brian Landon with you, and a lot to get to. And right now, joining us, our coach, Coach Tommy West, joining us to talk all things college football. Coach, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. A lot of storylines out of Week 1, but I'm curious, what is the best thing you saw in the weekend of college football?
Well, I think number one, watching what a great weekend of it. But I think 5 straight days of college football. But looked to me like the defenses are a little bit ahead of the offenses in most cases. And I tell you the thing that as a coach you noticed is, and I think it's got something a little bit to do with this transfer portal, is that you have to decide what your system is offensively. And then you have to recruit a quarterback that fits your system, or you got to change your system to fit your quarterback. I think the best example is Florida State. I said that Alabama would come in there and cut them, but Norvell did a great job. You know, he's got Gus Malzahn that's going to run his offense, and then he's got the absolute perfect quarterback to do that. And then I watched some of the other teams. And their quarterback, Tennessee does a great job. I think Josh Heupel's one of the finest offensive coaches in the country. He 246 yards rushing, 247 yards passing. He runs the ball. He knows how to run the ball and take pressure off the quarterback. Whereas Clemson couldn't do that. 31 yards rushing the ball in the game. I don't see a big time back there at Clemson. And if you can't take some of the pressure off your quarterback with a run game, it's hard to survive.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Well, on the opposite side of that, what were some of the not so great things that you saw this past weekend? There was a handful of them, but what stuck out? What stood out to you?
Well, Alabama, without question, is the most disappointing. And you know, I thought that they looked sluggish, they looked slow, they looked tired. I don't know if their camp had been too long or what had happened, but they actually mentally, to me, they looked like they didn't even want to be there. I just saw fundamental things where they don't hold the edges. They let them outside, in kickstand in the pass protection. They're stepping with false stepping, and I just saw little things. And I tell you the thing that I wish, and I know Coach DeBoer is getting plenty of criticism right now, but man, I wanted him to just get excited and get in somebody's face and say, "Let's go!" Hey, this is. They got to get a fire lit under their butts.
No, they absolutely do, and I mean it's really any team in the SEC. It is a tough schedule, but Alabama's got a tough schedule, especially late in the season. After seeing what that team looked like against Florida State, what are your expectations for the season as a whole for Alabama now?
I think they got to decide what they want to be. I was really disappointed in their defense. I thought they'd do better, but it's hard in an opening game when you don't know. And Gus's offense can be hard to defend. Sure. It's a little bit of single wing, it's a little bit of stuff that you don't normally see. So we'll see how much improvement they can make. I think their issues are offensively, and they've got to decide what they want to be, what system they want to be. I thought maybe they would be all the screens, getting the ball to their great wide out and out in space, and I didn't see that. I mean, I thought they put the pressure on their court. Well, they rushed for 87 yards in the game, and most of that came in the first drive. So, I mean, they won again. I hate to use this word, but they look soft.
Yeah.
I thought they got their butts kicked in both sides of the ball, line of scrimmage. And that's where you got to win starting out. And that's where I thought that they would be strong this year. O-line, D-line coming back, they got a chance to be good. And I thought that's where they looked really bad.
Yeah, I think another big disappointing thing from this past weekend of college football had to be Bill Belichick's debut. I think that was really underwhelming. Did you see that coming from Bill Belichick in North Carolina, or what is it that you were expecting from him in his start?
Well, we said it last week. If you remember, I said, let's go back now. It's not X's and O's now. It's Jimmy and Joe's. That saying's been around a long time, and that's what it is. Coaches, I said last week, get way too much credit when you win and way too much blame when you lose. When Coach Belichick lost Tom Brady, I went back and looked it up. His record's 8-22 in the last 2 years at New England. Okay, so I mean, you got to have the players. Obviously, they don't have them. So I think it'll be a long year. I don't think that's fluke. Now, they lost to a good football team, and Sonny's done a great job at TCU. A team that won 9 or 10 games last year. So, but that did not surprise me at all. I mean, it's not like Mac Brown doesn't know what he's doing. And, they haven't been competitive in the last couple of years, and they're obviously still not very competitive.
When you look at this team, and we saw it, and you talked about it, they did not look like a very competitive team against TCU. I was with a buddy earlier today, and we kind of went through North Carolina's schedule and kind of tried to predict, all right, what could this season look like as a whole for North Carolina? And we kind of landed on this likely being a 5 or 6 win team at North Carolina. With a coach like Bill Belichick, a guy that's won multiple Super Bowls, has done it in the NFL, is highly regarded as a head coach, but is also 73 years old, will he want to remain around a team that is 500 maybe at best, or do you think this could be kind of short-lived at North Carolina?
I think it could be short-lived personally because at his age, I think he's 73 years old. At 73, I know how I feel right now at 71. I'm not into. I'll go back and take over a program that's already there, but to go build one, I know how hard it can be and how much you got to put into it. and at 73, I don't know that he's going to be willing to, because he's got a lot of rebuilding to do now. And the thing he's not used to, it's going to have to be done on the recruiting trail, on the road, traveling, recruiting. That's not what he's used to. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
It will be.
Well, I don't want this to sound like a really dejecting subject, but there was a lot of stuff that was disappointing. I think another one of those was Arch Manning's performance against Ohio State. A lot of people, week one, we like to overreact. We like to go to the extremes of everything that's going on. But what did you make of Arch Manning's performance, and what do you think about him moving forward into the rest of the season?
Well, I think probably unfair for all of us to get on that hype train that we got on with Arch. I mean, he's not Superman now, and that was his first real game, and he happened to be in a real game against probably one of the best defenses in the country. I expect it to be a little bit better. But to be honest, I was disappointed in the offensive, the way that game was called. I thought they were trying to get the ball down the field all the time, and they didn't let him. I thought they'd come in there and they'd give him some balls he could complete, kind of get going, get the running game going. But they didn't do that. They tried to make him, and I think they put him in the toughest situation they could put him in. I still like Texas. I still think they're a good team. We said last week, though, they had replaced 6 or 7 guys on that offense, and it showed. Thought it showed up front. Now, their defense is as good as anybody. I think they're deep. I mean, Ohio State's getting a lot of credit right now. Hey, guys, Ohio State had 203 yards of total offense.
That's right.
In the
14
game.
points,
okay?
yeah.
They basically had one play.
Yeah.
Okay, they hit the pass over their head. Outside of that, they didn't do anything either. So that was 2 outstanding defenses on the field.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a story of the defenses. I was really impressed with both sides defensively.
The other thing, though, is I know Arch was 37% throwing the ball. Well, give him some balls he can complete.
Yeah.
Like, let him get started. Give him some easy throws to get the thing started.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you on that. And now Texas has 3 pretty cupcake games that they can get some confidence in them before they really start SEC play. I mean, San Jose State this week, UTEP next week, and then Sam Houston. So those should be 3 games where he can really get comfortable. But when you're a coach, and obviously Arch Manning, we always talk about having that Manning blood and being raised by that family, and you kind of already have that leverage because you're learning kind of that I think Brett called it yesterday, that quarterback laboratory that the Manning family is. But as a coach, what is Steve Sarkisian telling him after a game like that, when now everyone's talking about, he's a bust and he's no good, and you have a performance like that? What is Steve Sarkisian? What are those conversations like between him and Arch Manning?
Just can't wait to get back on the practice field and get going. And I think Sarkisian will tell him, hey, we didn't do a good job with it either. We didn't help you. We're going to get the thing going. Our defense is great. We don't have to throw it down the field all the time. We can pick and dump, and because they're not going to have to score a ton of points to win. And really, if you look at their schedule, I mean, they're at Georgia. That's the toughest game they got left.
Yeah.
So they got one of the easiest schedules in the league. I mean, they've got Kentucky, they got Vanderbilt, they got Arkansas. They've got the guys that should be at the bottom of the league. They play all those guys. So. I think you just tell him, hey, it doesn't good. That's not the start we wanted. Played against a great defense. Let's come back and get it going. Just keep his confidence going. He's going to be a heck of a player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, going from a quarterback that kind of struggled to a quarterback that had a pretty good night, Garrett Nussmeier on the road against Clemson, 28 for 38, 232 yards, 1 touchdown. I saw a post earlier today that said he's now the favorite to win the Heisman. Now, still very early, only 1 week in the books. But what did you make of LSU and their road win against Clemson?
I love Nussmeier. I liked him going in. Another one we talked about last week. I think he's a real player. The question mark was the defense, and they answered that. They absolutely shut Clemson's running game down totally, and really should, in my opinion, should have won by another touchdown. I thought they took the touchdown away from them. But the thing Nussmeier did against a really good defense, Clemson's defense is really good, but he didn't make the mistake. And that's what he kind of had a tendency to do, play good, but then make a mistake. But, I remember in stats, he made 3 or 4 throws last year at the end of the Ole Miss game that were just incredible throws to win that game. And I think he's a real player. I think LSU is definitely a team, that right now you got to look at. It's a long way, in the SEC, but well, they got to be up there pretty high right now.
Yeah, you got to think. I mean, that was really impressive and a really tough game
on the road.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. And Death Valley. I mean, I think can a lot of people consider one of the toughest places to play in the entire country. So
I've always said this at Clemson, and I was there a long time. When it comes to the big game, when it's just an average game, if it's Wake Forest or NC State or somebody, then it's okay. But now you bring Georgia, LSU, you bring the big game in there, and Clemson's as good as it gets anywhere.
Oh yeah, really, really good. Well, Coach, always really good stuff from you on Wednesday afternoons. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Tommy West joining us to talk some college football. One of my favorite segments of the week, and I know a lot of people have reached out to us talking about how much they love the segment. It's always a lot of fun to get his thoughts and to just get that kind of coaching, that insight from a former coach of kind of what's going on in these huddles and what he's seeing watching these games. It's really cool to kind of get that other view of college football. Well, we need to get to another break, and when we return, we got to talk some Major League Baseball as we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs. We've got what the playoffs would look like if they started today. Also, a couple other stories around the world of Major League Baseball. We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
Not only can you listen to your favorite shows on Sports 56, you can also watch video of the shows live on Twitter and YouTube. Are you ready for that? Watch and listen every day
at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Newsflash! Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has a warehouse full of inventory, and they need it cleaned out. Do your part to make room for new items, and you get great deals on almost everything. Listen up. All in-stock patio furniture, it's up to 80% off. You can get a 4-piece deep seating set for under $1,000. Chaise lounges. You buy one and you're going to need another, and that other one will be one half off. All Pollywood furniture, it's now 20 to 30% off. You buy any dining table, you're going to get an umbrella absolutely free, and they're not cheap. Now, is financing available? You better believe it. Special financing is a go. To sum it all up, Family Leisure has got to clear out its warehouse inventory, which means you're going to rack up the savings. Help Family Leisure clear out the warehouse. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together to clean out the warehouse.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Marshall Steakhouse is a feast for the eyes as well as the body. Enjoy all American USDA prime steaks, aged 30 days or more, and other delicious meats and sides. Marshall Steakhouse in Holly Springs, named the #1 steakhouse in Mississippi by the Food Network, and named in the top 2 most legendary steakhouses in the South by Southern Living Magazine. Make reservations today and get free bread pudding by calling 662-252-2424 or online at marshallsteakhouse.com. Marshall Steakhouse in Holly Springs, a Southern treat.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
a smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Going back into Sports Time, Bryant and Landon with you this afternoon. We're going to talk some Major League Baseball, but we got a text earlier that I did not we had some technical difficulties, so I could not see the text line when this text came in, but Ron texted in when we were talking Kawhi Leonard and this story that is now a very developing story in the NBA, with the NBA now coming out and saying that they were launching an investigation into the situation. And it's a really good point, and we might get back into this at 5:30 during What's Trending. But Ron points out, and Kawhi Leonard only played 37 games last season. And that came when we were kind of talking about how, they have this going on. Then you mentioned they're suing the trainer for malpractice of getting him rehabbed. And all of these stories that circulate Kawhi Leonard circulates a guy that only played 37 games last year.
That's worse than John Morant, which is saying something. But
It's
also, shout out to Ron. I don't think, maybe we mentioned it, but the picture he sent of the Cracker Barrel logos, the old one being Nick Saban and the new one being Kalen.
That's hilarious. I didn't see that.
I love that because the new logo is terrible,
but not
and
new anymore.
I know, and I'm so glad that we've successfully convinced them to go back to their old ways, because that was dumb. But hey,
what a weird week that was.
That was a weird week, but everything seems right in the Cracker Barrel world.
When's the last time you've been to a Cracker Barrel?
Oh, every time I go out of town and see one on the highway.
Really?
I always have to
So
go.
that's like your Whataburger. Like, I hear so many people that are like, if I'm on a road trip
Whataburger's
and I see a
never
Whataburger, I'm stopping at the Whataburger. And that was before Memphis had Whataburgers.
Yeah.
Because
no,
it was
I've never had a
this
taking to that.
fascination. Yeah, it's a Sonic cheeseburger at the end of the day.
It is, but no, I always go in. I tell them I don't need a menu. I know exactly what I want. I get Mama's French toast breakfast, bacon, and eggs with cheese on top. Let's go.
All right. Do you?
I'm hungry now.
Do you take a whirl in the rocking chairs?
Oh, of course. How else are you supposed to play that little tea game?
It's a great game.
It is a great game.
It's a
I've gotten
frustrating
Genius
game.
before.
Have you really? Wow.
I think 3 times.
I'm more of a checkers guy when I go to.
Yeah, well,
Cracker Barrel.
they have all of those commodities and more.
They sure do. Well, Major League Baseball, it is getting down towards the end of the regular season, and Major League Baseball actually posted a story saying if the playoffs started today, what it would look like. And I'll be honest, Landon, it looks wild, and I would love it if we got these matchups in the wild card. So in the AL, you would have the 6-seeded Mariners against the 3-seed Astros, which, as we know, a very heated rivalry between those two teams.
That would be a great game.
In the AL West, it would be awesome. Then you would have the Red Sox and the Yankees duking it out.
Sign us up right now.
With the winner of that game getting Toronto. So, I mean, that sounds like an awesome matchup right there. I mean, those are two massive rivalries in the AL that you could see in the wild card. I should mention the winner of the Mariners-Astros game would get Detroit. So you would see, I think, whichever team emerged from that wild card matchup between the Mariners and the Astros would be a great series against Detroit. I think would be really fun. I think same for Yankees-Boston against Toronto. In the NL, your Mets still holding on to a wild card spot.
That's where I have them predicted.
They would face off against the Dodgers. Ooh.
Wow. Dodgers are really that low, huh?
The Dodgers. No, I mean, they're 3.
Oh, right. No, my bad.
So 6v3. Ooh, the Dodgers. The big bad Dodgers.
Well, hey, I mean, we had a miracle run last year. Who's to say we can't do it again?
Winner would get the Phillies, which would be tough. And Dodgers-Phillies would be an awesome series, I think.
Dodgers-Phillies would be a good one, but also
Mets-Phillies would be
Mets-Phillies
as well.
is always featured as a great series of games, so
sure. And then
I'm good with that.
The other matchup, Padres Cubs, and the winner would get the Brewers. So you could see another little NL Central matchup if the Cubs made it through and got to the Brew Crew. So I think that would be an electric
That would be
playoff.
exciting.
It'd be really exciting. So, again, a lot of time left, so I don't know how it will really shake out. But right now, just looking at it, I think looks like a lot of
Well, not
fun.
that much time.
No, not ton time. I mean, we're
already in September.
Exactly, which is, again, hard to believe.
That's insane.
It's hard to believe we're in September. The Burr months have begun, as John Harden loves to make note of. So it is a little wild that we are already here in September. I was watching a baseball game maybe last night or maybe it was on Monday, and they were talking about like September call-ups. And I was like, oh, we still got a little bit of time for September call-ups. And I was like, no, we don't. We're in September. Welcome to September call-ups. So, yeah, we are really late in the season, and so I am curious how that will change up. But right now, at least, looks like it could be a lot of fun. Speaking of the Astros, did you see the story last night of Astros pitcher Framber Valdez and crossing up his catcher?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of, did he do it on purpose? Did he not do it on purpose?
It was intentional.
Okay, so you are on the intentional side.
Oh, it was.
So for those who don't know what we're talking about, last night, Astros and Yankees. Yankees up 2-0, top of the fifth inning. Trent Grisham at the plate with bases loaded. You can see catcher Cesar Salazar appear to wave at Framber Valdez to step off the mound. Bases loaded. He's motioning that what looks like, hey, step off, let's regroup, let's figure this thing out. Framber Valdez does not step off. He throws the pitch, and Trent Grisham sends it out of the ballpark for a grand slam. So now the Yankees are up 6-0 over Houston. The very next pitch, it is very clear that the pitch that Valdez threw was not the pitch that Salazar was expecting. His glove is kind of down in the zone, looks like it's going to be a breaking ball down, and the pitch that comes in is a sinker that is kind of up near the chest. And so Salazar has to kind of turn his glove to make the catch, and it kind of hits him in here on the thumb at like 93 miles an hour. And so everyone was kind of, and you could see they had a close-up of Valdez after that, and you could see like visibly frustrated after that pitch. So after the game, social media is going crazy of like, oh, holy cow, did Framber Valdez just get his catcher? Did he intentionally cross him up? What's going on? So then we learned after the game, Framber Valdez says it was unintentional. He apologized for it. And,
Yeah, okay, man.
Whatever, he had a pitch in mind, and there was a little miscommunication. But also we learned that both were called into the manager's office and had a closed-door meeting. So here's my thing. You cannot tell me that if that was truly an accident, everybody was fine with it, and okay, just move on, whatever, you threw the wrong pitch, or you misplaced it, whatever happened, that you need a closed-door meeting after the game with the manager to talk about it. So I'm with you. I think it was very intentional.
Well, I mean, you just look at his expression. As soon as he throws the pitch, he immediately turns around and gives him no attention. If you do something on accident or whatever, you have there's an immediate reaction that you see on somebody's face, or like a shock of like, oh man, like I can't believe I just did that or something like that. There was nothing of that. Immediately turned around, closed off. He 100% meant to do that.
You throw that pitch on accident, you're looking at your catcher immediately. Hey, my bad, man. Hey, I'm sorry. My bad.
As soon as it leaves your hand, you're like, oh, he was not paying attention.
He immediately calls the ball back, turns around, starts shaking his head in frustration. Here's the quote from Framber Valdez through an interpreter. I called for that pitch, I threw it, and we got crossed up. When we got down to the dugout, I excused myself with Salazar, and I said sorry to him, and I take full responsibility for that. So, I don't know, but Framber Valdez, he's a great pitcher. It's certainly not a guy.
You can say anything you like.
That's exactly right.
Actions speak a lot louder than words here.
Right now, the Astros have a 3-game lead over the Mariners, so we'll see if they keep that lead going into playoffs. But a very weird story in Major League Baseball last night. Well, we need to wrap up this first hour and get to a break, and when we return, we're going to talk college football. David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company, he joins us next.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs. 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft pints on Mondays. Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 happy hour. Music bingo Tuesdays. Daily specials and online ordering. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Highway 70. Check Facebook for daily specials and weekend music at the Owner's Box.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Getting engaged is one of life's most spectacular occasions. And when you find your ring at Sissy's Log Cabin, the promise of a lifetime begins with our promise to always provide unmatched quality, superior service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Find your dream engagement ring, wedding bands, and more when you shop sissyslogcabin.com or stop by any of our 7 locations. Begin the rest of your lives brilliantly. Only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is flipping the script on heartbreakers with Ghost Leg. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code HERD. That's promo code HERD to unlock Ghost Leg. Ghost your losses. Get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Opt in for a single-use token. Minimum 3+ legs and minus 500 odds per leg. Max bet varies. If only one leg of the bet loses, bet will settle as if only the winning legs were placed and pays out in cash based on odds when the bet was placed. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A couple of EMS calls out here in the last 15-20 minutes. It's trying to build in certain sections of Midtown just in the last few minutes. I-40, especially here at Chelsea. We see some rain out here in certain parts, especially out in Fayette County. It's coming down pretty hard out there earlier, and certain parts of Fayette County could affect you at times. I-40 as you leave Shelby County out into Fayette County with that rain. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. Go by and see them at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Memphis's original sports station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
When you hear the sound of coming, hear the drums drumming. The times are a-changing. They say I should as well. Oh, but if you want the truth, I used to drink and I still do, but I used to too.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you, and that is the song I Used to Drink. It is by our next guest, David Cohn. It's on his most recent album, Richest Man in Town. The multi-talented David Cohn, a former football player. Now he talks sports, but he also makes music. David, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about that song, I Used to Drink. A fun song. Tell us a little bit about it.
Boys, thanks so much for having me. It sure is an honor to hear that song playing over your airwaves there in Memphis, Tennessee. I was a big fan of Mitch Hedberg's comedy, and he had a joke that was very similar to that back in the day. And I just thought, if I could turn that into "I Used to Drink" and make that a country song, then I think that would be a lot of fun. So I worked on it. And, we got into the studio. I recorded it with Dolly Parton's producer, Mr. Kent Wells, and we put it on our 12-song album here called Richest Man in Town. And I'm so excited with the way that track turned out with that old-school Johnny Cash, Buddy Holly, Everly Brothers type feel. So I really appreciate you guys promoting it for me.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's a fun song. It's a fun album. And I think, like you said, Dolly Parton's producing, and I was talking to one of my buddies who is a regular listener of Crane and Company. I'd asked him, have you listened to David Cohn's music? And he said, no, I haven't. And so I was showing him your album, and that was one thing he said was, man, this is really well produced. It's really well done. It sounds great. His voice is awesome. I mean, he was a big fan, and I think that's the biggest thing is it sounds great. All of these songs, really, really fun to listen to.
Well, thank you so much. As you know, from August to January, college football pretty much consumes my life. But in the off season, I love writing music. Country music and Southern rock has always been a staple of my music listening. And so I love writing songs, and I was very fortunate to be able to go and record these tracks with Mr. Kent Wells, a Nashville legend. And what I've been telling people is, this music is steeped in the Americana tradition. So even if you don't love country music, but maybe you like Skynyrd or Creedence or the Eagles or something like that, I think you'll find stuff on this album that you like. And even if you don't love my songwriting or my vocals, the session musicians that played on this are the best in the world. And so hopefully someone can find a track that they really love on the album. And thank you guys again for talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, David, just one more question for you about the music, because I'm a big country lover myself, and to hear you just diving headfirst into country music, is there any kind of specific inspiration you draw from people, or is it you're just going out and you're doing your own thing?
There's basically two pillars for me. One, the music that I grew up listening to with my parents. So that's Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Marty Robbins. And look, Hank Jr., Hank Williams Sr., and Hank Williams Jr., all of that stuff is a pivotal influence for me. The folk too, with Gordon Lightfoot and Jim Croce and, James Taylor, Peter, Paul, and Mary, all that for sure. And then sort of when I played football, mostly what I was listening to was hip-hop. I mean, you guys know how a football locker room is, where that's pretty much, what I was consuming and listening to. But then a more traditional country approach, I would get into Alan Jackson and Brad Paisley and Kenny Chesney, and then more recently, Zach Brown and Chris Stapleton. Certainly all of those artists have influenced me as well. And then, like I said, there's the real Southern rock. I'm from Statesboro, Georgia.
I think we might have lost David on the phone. We'll try to get him back with us, because certainly a lot of college football that we need to discuss with him. And definitely love talking his music, and I know he's fired up to talk about everything that happened in Week 1, and definitely getting a quarterback's perspective of what we saw in that Texas and Ohio State game with Arch Manning. Everybody talking about Arch Manning and his woes in Game 1, and so I'd love to get David's thoughts on what he saw from Arch Manning and plenty of other things that we have to get to around the world of college football. But just one more time before we get him back on, again, go and check out David's music. Really good stuff. I Used to Drink, the song that we played coming in here, but his album Richest Man in Town, go give it a listen. And like you said, I think you'll find something on there that you really like. Well, we got David back with us now. David, thanks so much. Glad to have you back with us. We lost you there for a second. But I do want to get to a lot of college football with you, and let's start from a quarterback's point of view. What did you see from Arch Manning in Game 1 against Ohio State?
Well, I saw the type of play that I personally was expecting. Now, I know a lot of people out in the sports media propped Arch Manning up to be the second coming of Tim Tebow, or really even more than that from a style of play perspective, propped him up to be the next Joe Burrow. I don't know who would have seen Arch Manning is that he was brought in a year ago in relief of Quinn Ewers and the couple starts that he made, where people thought that he could deliver the football effectively enough down the field to be like Joe Burrow or Michael Penix Jr. right off the bat against a top defense like the Buckeyes. I think his style of play is much more like say, Riley Leonard for Notre Dame a year ago, or even Haynes King at Georgia Tech, where he's able to get downhill and use his legs. At least that's what I saw. I mean, that touchdown run he had a year ago against Texas A&M is proof of what I thought we might see a lot from him. So to not see a quarterback design run until the second quarter from Steve Sarkisian, I think was a little bit surprising. But again, he was playing a top defense. There was, a little bit of panic there with some of the throws that he made, but I wasn't overly surprised. I think a lot of people in sports media perhaps were. Texas is still going to win a lot of football games. The one narrative that I have to push back on over the weekend is somehow Steve Sarkisian all of a sudden forgot how to call a football game. Yes, I thought they might get Ryan Wingo a little more involved on inner rounds. Yes, I thought they might have a little bit more quarterback design runs like what I was talking about at the beginning. But just keep in mind, this is the only college football coach in the country who's led his team to back-to-back college football playoffs. And he did that with Quinn Ewers, a different style of quarterback. And so, I don't know where the Longhorns go from here. I do think they're going to win a lot of football games, and they ran into a really good team. But we got the Arch Manning that I sort of thought we were going to get in the preseason here.
Sticking with quarterback talk, was there any other quarterbacks that stood out to you in week one for college football?
Well, look, I know we're going to get into this Michigan-Oklahoma game, but I was paying special attention to Bryce Underwood at Michigan and also John Mateer, who I think really has a great chance to win the Heisman Trophy this year at Oklahoma. I understand the trepidations from SEC fans around the country who say, well, he's transferring in from Washington State. Let's see if he can do it week in and week out in the SEC. And that is 100% fair. I'll just say the last Washington State quarterback who transferred, granted it was to Miami, Cam Ward played pretty well, and he was certainly in the thick of that Heisman Trophy conversation, and he went number one overall for a reason. So I think that we're going to have a heck of a quarterback battle with Michigan and Oklahoma this weekend from new starters, which is particularly exciting. I mean, there's just so much great play. Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. I mean, I know that they weren't playing the stiffest of competition, but I've really had my eye on him, especially in that Lane Kiffin system. I think that kid is going to be an emerging star. Just so much great quarterback play from across the country. And I have to give a special shout out to Thomas Castellanos at Florida State. From watching him play at Boston College a year ago, I didn't know he was capable of putting forth that sort of performance, much less against a defense with players like Alabama has. To play a perfect game like that and do what he does best throughout the course of a game with not doing what he does worse, which is making erratic throws and turning the football over. And after talking that much trash about Alabama and saying they don't have Nick Saban to save them, to back it up with that sort of performance, man, tip of the cap to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to talk all that and back it up, but it really was two big stories from that Alabama and Florida State game. I saw Kirk Herbstreit, I think it was Monday night after the North Carolina game on SportsCenter, and he was talking about the weekend, and he said, I don't know what the biggest story of the weekend was, how good Florida State looked or how bad Alabama looked. You mentioned Thomas Castellanos, so let's start with Florida State. Kind of really what college football is now in this era of where you can go from being a 14-0 team to being a 2-win team to now being a team that comes out and beats Alabama in game one and shoots all the way up to number 14 in the AP polls. What jumped out to you about this Florida State team different from last year's team? And do you think that 14 AP poll, little heat of the moment, or do you think this team can be good enough this season to be a top 15 team?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Look, every football game tells you a lot about both teams, but in this particular situation, I think we learned a little bit more about Florida State just because of that dichotomy and that peak versus valley that you're talking about from 23, where they went undefeated and won the ACC, contrasted with 24, where they go 2-10, which is almost unfathomable at a place like Florida State. So we had a lot of questions. Well, which one's it going to be? Or maybe even if it's something in the middle, like 6-6, that's still terrible in Tallahassee. So the fact that they came out and played the way they did, obviously they targeted two great coordinators, and Gus Malzahn just called a fantastic game in week one. The defense was flying around. You saw what they could be. Now, my question is, okay, how bad is Alabama, though? And two, and I have the same question for Florida State as I do Miami, and there's a couple other teams who had really good showings across the country. Is that a flash in the pan? Did you just get really amped up for week one because everyone doubted you, or is this who you are? Can you replicate this throughout the course of a season? On the Alabama point, look, they got really great football players. They have a lot. I talked to an NFL scout just yesterday who said that there's guys who are in the too deep of this team who are going to be second and third round picks in the NFL. It's not like they have bad players, which that even speaks more to the coaching to me, where you can go on the field, perform like that against Florida State, after their quarterback talked that much trash about you and said they don't have Nick Saban to save them, and you play like that with no fight, with no will. You've got players on the field laughing at the end of the game as the opponent knees the ball out. You know, I was talking with Timmy Brando today on our show over at Crane and Company, and you know, I said I agree with 50% of what you put out over the weekend about Alabama, and I disagree with 50% because fans who want to freak out and demand a coach be fired the first time they lose a football game or two, that's insane, right? Like that's just that's not reality, and you're talking about people's livelihoods. At the same time, one of my favorite quotes about college football is, "This is our way of life versus your way of life." And granted, that's changed a lot with the transfer portal and players and coaches moving all over the place, but there's still a regional aspect to this sport that matters. And I think Alabama fans should have a right to say how you coach our team matters, not just the wins and losses. You can go on the road and lose to a Florida State team who's really good, and you can, keep your head up high as long as your team fights and you look organized and you look like you care, and it hurts them. It hurts those players so badly to lose that game that they can't wait to get back out there the next week. There's a part of that that's understandable, but to go out there without any fight whatsoever, that truly shocked me on Saturday.
No, absolutely. Now you're seeing stories come out, friends of boosters that are saying they heard that players are out at 2 a.m. getting DoorDash orders and having their girlfriends come over. I know you've been in team hotels and you kind of know how this dynamic works. Do you buy those stories, and kind of what does that say about this program under Kalen DeBoer? I think we might have maybe lost David again. Think so.
We might have.
We will try to get David back with us again. I do want his thoughts on Michigan and Oklahoma. It feels like the biggest game of the weekend in college football is that Michigan and Oklahoma game, because really, I was looking at the games again and looking at some of these lines, a lot of lopsided lines out there, but I do think that is going to be a massive game. I thought Oklahoma looked good over the weekend, and want his thoughts on, didn't get to see as much of Michigan, but want his thoughts on what he thinks about that game. But back to the thing, again, you never know what to believe when it's a friend of a booster who knew somebody that was in the the team hotel and saw that players were out at 2 a.m. and different things like that. But again, I think it is that would be a big thing if that is true, and these guys before a big game on the road are treating it like that. So I am curious David's opinion on that as well, of what he thinks about Alabama as a team and maybe that culture. We got David back with us. Sorry, David, we lost you again there, but I was curious your thoughts on some of these rumors about what's going on at the team hotel with Alabama. Obviously, you've been a part of these teams and team hotels, and do you buy what people are saying online about Alabama, and kind of what does that mean, if that is true, about this Alabama team?
Well, like I said, it's 50-50. Anytime a football team loses, you're going to hear those types of stories. And, yes, it could be 100% fabricated, right, just because you're mad at the head coach and because they lost a football game. At the same time, when something becomes consistent, you start to believe it. And when I hear things in the off season like, well, the players, they're not allowed to be late anymore, right? Like, we're really buckling down this year. Well, what do you? Why were they ever allowed to be late? Like that doesn't fit the mold and the mindset that I'm accustomed to with the way Nick Saban ran his team. And then also, obviously, I can't see what's going on at the hotel room. I can't see what's going on at practice and behind the scenes, but I can see what's going on the sideline. And so the stories you're telling me from behind the scenes, do they match what my eyeballs are seeing? Well, a little bit, because now we're starting to have a pattern. This isn't a one-off, you know. I'm seeing football players with their nails painted, bringing in emotional support animals, laughing as the other team beats you and takes a knee on the end of the field. No fight on the sidelines. I'm watching Kirby Smart is up by 45 points against Marshall, slinging his headset because a player did the wrong thing, and he's still coaching his butt off towards the end of the game. I'm not seeing that from an Alabama team who's actually down on the road in Doak Campbell. Where's the fight?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to watch throughout the season. Last thing for you, David. You mentioned it. Maybe the biggest game of the weekend in college football is Michigan and Oklahoma. Thought Oklahoma did some nice things in their first game against an FCS opponent. I wasn't able to see as much of the Michigan game. What do you expect to see in this big-time matchup over the weekend?
First off, this is a great college football matchup no matter how the programs are doing in that given year, just because these are two blue blood, historically great college football programs that everyone should tune into. But when you add in the fact that both programs are on the rise, both programs are hoping to have better years this year than they did last year, and you add in the fact that Michigan head coach Sharon Moore, Oklahoma is his alma mater, it really must-watch game. And I have to say, last week with Bryce Underwood, I know that Michigan was playing New Mexico, okay? So take that with a grain of salt. But I really was shocked at how well a true freshman quarterback could play. His performance would have been the best passing performance for any game a year ago when Michigan went 8-5 and beat the eventual national champs and beat Alabama. He was 21 of 31, 251 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, and more importantly than the stats, he ran the offense, and it looked like he was leading the team. And so asking him as an 18-year-old, he just turned 18 years old, to go on the road to Norman, Oklahoma, and beat this team in Norman with Brent Venables, a defensive-minded coach, and they had so much success in the transfer portal with John Mateer and bringing in Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator. It's a tall task to ask him to go do that. But that's why you're playing quarterback at Michigan, to be asked to have tall tasks asked of you. And so I can't wait for this football game. If Michigan plays defense like they did a week ago, I think that Oklahoma will win the game. If Michigan's able to put on a defensive performance like they did towards the end of last year, then I think Michigan has a good shot to win this game. And it's not just Bryce Underwood. Remember, they rushed for 200 yards a week ago, too, with Justice Haynes, that Alabama running back who came in through the transfer portal. So I think we're in store for a really great football matchup.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a really good game one way or the other. David, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
David. David Cohn joining us. Go and listen to his music. Go and watch him, the co-host of Crane and Company, joining us every single Wednesday, and we really appreciate him. Did have some phone troubles with him. We appreciate him sticking it out with us and giving us his time. What do you think about that game? We'll probably talk about it a little bit more as we get closer to the weekend tomorrow and Friday, but Michigan, Oklahoma.
Utah-Michigan would still be a good game, too.
It's going to be probably the biggest game of the weekend.
Absolutely, I think so.
And I don't know what the line is. I don't have the line pulled up in front of me, but
I didn't see it either. But this is going to be a good game, as we were talking about. But this is truly the battle of QBs. You got the former number one rated prospect in Bryce Underwood that, to many people's shock, went to Michigan when he had offers to go to all these other places and wanted to play at Michigan. And then you've got the transfer, John Mateer, who looked really good in his game last week. So I think I think a lot of people love to see and want to see a good, high-scoring game, especially when you got two really good quarterbacks on the field. But if it doesn't come down to that and it's a defensive battle like we've been seeing with all these other big games that we've seen to this point, I don't know. It would warm the hearts of all the true football fans, but people who want to go out and see some fireworks, I think there's a good opportunity for it because I think both of these teams have revitalized their offense. Last year they didn't perform as well, as David mentioned with Michigan. It was a little underwhelming. Still somehow, some way got that win over Ohio State, which to many Michigan fans is their national championship from last year, is getting that win. But obviously you want to see them do a lot better. So I think we can see a lot of fireworks in this game. So it should be really interesting. I'm just tuning in for a good game. I'm not favored either which way. I know Oklahoma's favored in the game, but I'm just expecting a really good game from these two.
Yeah, Oklahoma 5.5-point favorite right now. The total only at 45.5, which you talking about the offense, maybe look at an over. It is one of the lowest totals on the board in terms of top 25 or games involving a top 25 team. So I'm excited about that one. It's going to be a big one. The only top 25 versus top 25 matchup this weekend after we saw so many last weekend, so should be a ton of fun. Well, we're going to get to a break here in just a second, but before we do that, let me remind you about our friends over at Frontier Western Store. I mentioned it yesterday. We're finally into the Burr months, as John calls it, but that means fall is here, and that cool weather, it's coming. It's right around the corner, so maybe you need some new clothes for that different weather that's coming in, and Frontier Western, they are the place you got to go. Family owned and operated since 1967, Frontier Western is your one-stop shop for the biggest brands in Western wear. Check out Frontier's world-famous boot showroom. Whether it's work boots or dress boots, Frontier has you covered for the entire family with plenty of in-stock proven classics like Ariat, Dan Post, and Durango, and that's just to name a few. Frontier Western Store is also your one-stop shop for Carhartt in the Mid-South. They've also got you covered with plenty of other brands when it comes to shirts, shorts, jeans, outerwear, whatever you're looking for, they've got it. But if you're in the market for a new pair of jeans, well, Frontier is the place you got to get to. They've got all the brands from Ariat all the way down to Wrangler, and you'll love how easy it is to find the perfect size and style for you. At Frontier Western, their pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know you'll be getting the best deals. Head down to 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch and check out the entire selection. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Head down to Olive Branch and check out Frontier Western Store. Well, we need to get to a break, and when we return, we'll talk about the week 1 of the NFL season. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Ready to shine, Memphis? Drive clean all month long with unlimited wash plans at Club Car Wash. Stop by any 4 club locations in Greater Memphis or visit clubcarwash.com today.
Club Car Wash. Join the club.
Listen up, Rebel fans. Your next winning drive starts at Landers Ford in Collierville. Their game plan is simple. Find you the most savings possible. Make a trade, lower your payments, or let them buy your vehicle even if you don't buy from them. That's how you keep moving the chains. Just like the Grove on game day. Fans all across the Mid-South keep coming back to the #1 Ford dealership in Greater Memphis. See them today in Collierville or online at LandersFordMemphis.com. When you own a Landers Ford, you get the support of a certified service tech with the Landers Ford Remote Service Experience Program. They pick it up, drop it off, or fix it on the spot, so you're never left watching from the sidelines. To finish the drive, the iconic Landers Easy Pass always brings more for your trade and the biggest discounts to put you in victory formation. And now, straight from the 1977 Ole Miss football team that took down #1 ranked Notre Dame, the final snap of the day from Landers Ford President Don Kitchens.
If it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
As reported on Ford's 2024 Total New Vehicle Retail Sales Report, Memphis Market.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It can continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
This traffic report is brought to you by Millington Weight Loss. For more information, call 901-436-0272.
Sports 56 traffic.
Build with a little bit more volume in certain sections of the Midtown area. Pretty much on schedule right now on 240 South and South Parkway as it starts to get heavy, and not only right there, but also I-40 up by Chelsea. Still some lingering showers out here, some of them with thunderstorms, so be careful. It's really coming down pretty good, at least it was earlier there in parts of Fayette County. Could affect your drive out there on I-40, so be careful. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. Stop by and see them at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
With this hour every day brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville, the #1 Ford dealership in the Mid-South. Landers Ford is your trusted destination, a vehicle that fits any lifestyle, seamless shopping experience from vehicle choice to financing and service, from the Ford Escape to the rugged F-150 to the adventurous Bronco. Every vehicle built Ford tough. Ford F-150, America's best-selling truck. SUVs like the Ford Escape, Ford Edge, Ford Explorer, Ford Expedition, Ford Bronco, EVs and hybrids. Transparency, professionalism, and a long-term support team at Landers Ford in Collierville. Oil changes, tires rotated. Go online and schedule when it suits you the best. It'll be done quickly to meet your schedule. At Landers Ford, very active in the community. They're in Collierville at 2082 West Poplar Ave. LandersFordMemphis.com. If it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Well, the NFL season is back, and we got to talk about a lot of these matchups. A lot of the games we'll see will get started tomorrow night. Cowboys and Eagles. Thursday Night Football will be a game that is on NBC. Then we'll get a game Friday night. Chiefs and Chargers. That game will be on YouTube before we get a full slate of games on Sunday. But before we get into any of these games, Landon, I do want to talk about this Hope-O-Meter that The Athletic posted earlier today. What teams have the most hope going into the season?
Did yours go up a little bit after my top story?
No. I'm sorry. Maybe I've been doing a lot of self-reflection.
I was playing both sides of that coin, seeing how the Eagles were good, but how there's a chance for the Cowboys.
Sure. Well, I'll be honest, Landon. I've done a lot of self-reflection over the last week. Since what has happened with
a former defensive end.
Correct, with Mike Parsons, and tomorrow.
I wasn't gonna say his name, but
it's okay. We can say his name. I'm not that fragile anymore. But tomorrow will be a week since that trade came out, because I know that because we were talking to Keith Smith when that story dropped at 4 o'clock. But I've done a lot of self-reflection. And maybe, just maybe, I don't think I had a chance to read this text, but when we did our NFC predictions last week with Bo Marchand, I had the Cowboys in the playoffs.
You did.
And
you were the only one.
Someone texted in and politely asked if I could be drug tested because I had the Cowboys in the playoffs. So I've done some self-reflection. Maybe it was a little too high to have the Cowboys in the playoffs, even before the trade. And if you had asked me before the trade, I do not think I would have had the Cowboys with the third worst hope, optimism, whatever you want to call it. Third most pessimistic.
Pessimism.
In the NFL. I don't think I would have had them there. I don't know where I would have had them, but I don't think I would have had them third to last. But that's where they are. A 13% optimistic rating for the NFL.
When did this come out?
So they just dropped it today. Today. But the poll was done before the trade happened. So I'm guessing probably a week ago they put out the poll,
Right.
or at some point early last week they put out the poll. They got the results back. They had a deadline. They got the results back. Then they wrote the story. They published it today as part of kind of their week of NFL, let's get excited for the season. And because it does make note that the poll took place, it says right here, they were recorded before the Micah Parsons trade was announced, meaning Cowboys fans' outlook on 2025 at that point, 13.1% optimism, stands a chance to be much lower now just as the season kicks off. Meanwhile, Packers' optimism, which was 75.4%, was good, but would be markedly better with the news Parsons is on their side. So, very clearly.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked is because the story between Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones has been going on for a really long time. So, I think you had two sides of the coins of the fan. One, like you, that was saying last week, I think a deal's already done. This is all just for show, giving yourself some hope. And then there's a lot of other people who are just sick of Jerry Jones' antics, sick of all the things going on, saying, why don't you just sign the guy? So I think maybe that whole storyline and that drama maybe had to impact a lot into it, because we were getting a lot more information on Jerry Jones's stance on players than we were the stance on how the team looks or how practice is going. How does Dak look out there with CD and George Pickens and all those kind of things?
Yeah.
So that definitely could have played a huge factor in the very pessimistic view on this year's season.
Sure, and I mean, I think I think a lot of Cowboys fans were all of those things, right? Like, I think there were a lot of people that were hoping a deal would get done, were maybe optimistic that maybe a deal is already done, it just hasn't been announced, but also at the same time, like, Jerry, why are you like this? Let's get out of our own way and let's get a deal done. I don't remember what I was reading, but there was something I was reading, and it was talking about, looking at the season. It was talking about the trade with the Cowboys and trading Micah Parsons, and it said something along the lines of, looking back, I guess it was because his agent came out. Well, Micah Parsons put out a statement saying, I always wanted to be a Cowboy. That never changed. Priority number one was being a Cowboy. His agent came out and seconded that, saying that all along, Micah Parsons wanted to be a Cowboy.
Yeah.
And that it just got to this point that, the owner is getting in the way, and it just got to a point where, hey, we gotta leave and we gotta go somewhere else. And so the fact that, Jerry Jones really, whether he wants to admit it or not, he got in his own way and, really was, detrimental to maybe what the entire season looks like now for the Cowboys, because, he got in his own way. And then the kind of flip side of that, where I think you're seeing a lot of executives come out and a lot of league sources and people within the league saying that they didn't get nearly the return that other teams would have given them. And so kind of why was it this jump? Was it, Brett's been talking about it, was it something along the lines of they saw something in our MRI that they didn't like, and they said, we just got to move him. The quicker we move him, the better the deal will go through. It won't fall through or anything. Because, I do think there's something along the lines of, now we're learning that he might play this weekend, but if he does play, he'll probably need an injection to play.
Yeah.
If you're telling, if we're going into game week and he's still a Cowboy, and they're saying, well, he might play for the Cowboys on Thursday, but he's probably going to need an injection to play. By the way, the Cowboys might look to trade him before the season starts. Our team's out there going, oh, I don't know if we want to trade for him if he's needing injections to play. Now, the Packers make it seem like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
He's going to get through
let's
it.
Get him going.
We're going to be fine. But maybe there was something on there the Cowboys saw, and it was, we just got to move him as quick as possible. Whatever we feel like the best deal is right now, let's take it. Let's move him. But obviously, it's gonna sting, and the Cowboys are going to look different tomorrow night against the Eagles. But to this hope-o-meter, just really quick, and then we'll get to some of these games, some of the notes going into the weekend. Can you guess who the most optimistic fan base in the entire NFL is, according to the hope-o-meter, with only 1% of pessimism and 99% of optimism?
Bills.
Incorrect. The Bills are 6th with 90.
Is
3%
this like
optimism.
delusional optimism or is it reasonable?
I think there was just a poll out there and said, "How optimistic are
I'm
you about
asking
your
you.
team?" I don't know. I mean, you're asking me if I was to project on
If
this
you
team.
were thinking, these are just delusional fans who are high on their
I
own
think there should
supply.
be real optimism with this team.
Going into this year,
Maybe it might not result in like a Super Bowl this season, but I think going forward as a franchise, there should be real optimism with this team.
So maybe like a fresh team?
Possibly.
I want to say Ravens, but that doesn't...
Ravens are fourth. They're 96% optimism.
So I'm just inching up the line here.
You are. You've moved up 2 spots. If it helps you, the Lions were the team in between the Ravens and the Bills.
Okay. Man, optimistic teams. Well, you already told me Packers were what, 75%?
75%. That makes them like 11th, I think.
Would it shock me who this team is? Like, is it one of the usual suspects, like a Chiefs or a...
It might shock you. Maybe.
I don't know.
Denver Broncos.
Okay.
The most optimistic fan base in the...
I think they have really good reason to be optimistic.
That's what I said. You
Okay.
know?
Well,
mean,
I don't think you gave me a clear answer.
Well, I said they should be very optimistic. You said, are they fresh? I said, possibly. I think I gave you all the clues you needed. I just said I don't think... Like, if you were thinking... Because your first couple guesses, Bills, team that a lot of people think can go and win the Super Bowl this year. Ravens, another team that people think can go to the Super Bowl this year.
Super Bowl, yeah.
Lions, you didn't guess them, but I gave you them, that they were in the top 5.
I guess I should have said, is this a playoff contender team?
Sure. Broncos a playoff contender, you know.
Oh, I absolutely believe so.
I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender at
They're
this
either
point.
going to win their division or get second in their divisions
right,
if the Chiefs somehow, some way still find ways to win.
I'm with you. So the top 5 most optimistic fan bases, according to the NFL Hope-O-Meter: the Denver Broncos, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Detroit Lions. That is your top 5. Bucks are that high at 97% optimism. So people excited about Baker Mayfield.
Really believe in Baker over there. Where are the Chiefs at?
The Chiefs, that is a great question. The Chiefs...
Is reality starting to set in for Chiefs fan?
No, they are 8th.
Okay, so
93%.
not heavily.
No. A quote from the Chiefs: "They did it before, they'll Mahomes it again."
I mean,
okay.
They somehow, some way clawed themselves into the Super Bowl last year.
Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, what more do you need?
An offensive line.
Super Bowl is expected at this point. Also, we have the best player on earth on our team, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift's
great point.
Taylor Swift's boyfriend, or I guess fiance now.
Hey, but she might be on the field at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell said maybe. I don't know. Maybe we see Taylor Swift.
I can't believe we're
How great would that be?
I can't believe we're talking about halftime performances. We haven't even had game 1 yet.
We could have the wedding at halftime of the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Would Travis Kelce
sign me up for that?
Would
that
Travis
would be
Kelce
fantastic.
Would that be a thing? Could that be a thing if he's playing? Or does that have to be the Chiefs are eliminated?
I think it has to be
if he's playing, right?
Like how interesting would it be if the Super Bowl this year was like we predict Bills Lions and Taylor Swift as a halftime performance, and let's say Bills beat Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl.
I mean, I guess it'd be great, you know.
For her, I don't know. I don't know if
that's true.
I don't know if she'd want to perform
but I think,
at that point.
Think about it, you know, like. It's not a secret that, like, the NFL probably loved having the Chiefs in the Super Bowl last year because there's a lot of people that wanted to tune in to see Taylor Swift. My girlfriend being one of them. Like,
wanted to see Taylor Swift fly into the stadium.
Wanted to see Tay-Tay. So, you know, if Chiefs aren't going to be in it, have her as the halftime performance, you know, and have her get married at halftime.
I saw that there were polls for, and I cannot believe right now we're actually talking about halftime performances, but I saw a poll of who people would want to perform. And you know who was on there that I would love for them to make a return?
I have no clue.
Creed.
Creed's very popular right now, it feels like. They just performed here.
Yeah, I know. Like a couple weeks ago. I think it was July 20th or something.
So about a month ago.
But they kind of like hit a revitalization on their careers right now.
Yeah, it really did.
I think all the old school videos of them performing. Oh, this was actually because I remember their lead singer was wearing a Cowboys jersey.
Yeah, sure was.
Man, a long time ago, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
Man, that would be. I feel like that would be really exciting for.
That could be cool. Maybe.
Cool. What are you talking about?
I mean, I'm not a huge Creed guy. I couldn't tell you much about their songs, but
Can You Take Me Higher?
I know that song. That's about it that I know from Creed. Bottom
That's really
five.
all you need.
I guess so.
Yeah,
Bottom
what
five
are
in
the
the
bottom
open
five?
meter. Can you guess the most pessimistic team in the NFL, fan base in the NFL?
Most pessimistic. No hope for this year. I don't know. I feel like I was going to say the Browns, but I feel like they have a little bit of optimism now. But I'm going to say Browns.
Incorrect. One more guess.
One more guess.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
5
we're running
of them.
out of time, so,
Oh, well, that makes sense. I'm trying to think. Who is Panthers?
No. Panthers actually like 27 or so. Like they're
I feel like I'm
pretty high up
missing an
there.
obvious team here.
You are missing an obvious team. Like this is a very obvious team. Panthers.
Saints.
23. Saints are second to last. The most pessimistic team in the NFL, the most pessimistic fan base in the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts.
Ha! Danny Dimes.
7% optimism.
He will carry you to 3 wins.
The Saints, 9% optimism, 92% pessimism. The Cowboys, 13% optimism, 87% pessimism. The Browns, 18% optimism. Browns fans have more optimism than Cowboys fans have right now.
How about that?
What is this existence? Someone texted in and said, halftime show we all need, Weird Al.
I mean,
Be a fun halftime show.
I would actually tune in for that.
Yeah. I don't
Keep
know.
sending in your suggestions.
Sure.
Who do we want to see at this year's halftime?
The weirder the better.
performance?
I will
Well,
tell you that
I think
right
we
now.
already made the pinnacle of that with Weird Al.
With Weird Al. Looking at the games this week, and I know we'll talk a lot tomorrow about Cowboys Eagles, but what game jumps out to you over the weekend, not involving the Tennessee Titans?
Okay, so you had to add that specific little nugget for me. I think for me, it's got to be the Friday night game, Sao Paulo,
Yeah,
the
one.
Chiefs and Chargers. Look, I mean, I think this is the game where Chiefs, the team and the fans can all either say, hey, we did fix these gaping problems we had last year, and let's go out and actually prove that we're a top dog dominant team, or the Chargers are going to go out there and run their game. Justin Herbert, one of the greatest regular season QBs that is in the league right now, is surrounded by weapons, got a good offensive line, Najee Harris in the background. I mean, it's going to be a high-powered team. So I like the Chargers in this one. I think they're going to do really well, but I think that's going to be a game to look out for because it's it's an early test, which I mean, Chiefs are kind of used to that in Week 1, getting the early test. I believe last year they opened with the Bills, didn't they? I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what they did. So they're not foreign to it, but I think this is just right up their alley of another early test. But I think it's going to be a good game, and I think it's going to be it's going to be a lot of telltale to see if the Chiefs really fix problems or if they're still in a deep hole.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a fun game to watch. I think that is one of the bigger games over the weekend, and it looks like you mentioned it, Najee Harris. It looks like he'll be able to go for the Chargers. I think one that I'm circling for the weekend, Texans and Rams. I think that's going to be a really fun game. Sean McVay said he expects Matthew Stafford to play. He's been dealing with this aggravated disc in his back for most of the offseason, most of training camp, but it looks like he'll be good to go. On the other side, what does C.J. Stroud look like in year 3? A little bit of a sophomore slump last year. How does that offense look with the Texans? And, I mean, a team that I think going into last year, we were all terrified of what the Texans could become. Not as much last year, but maybe they turn into that this year. We've got some more halftime show recommendations.
Nice. Let's hear 'em.
Someone texted in and said Aerosmith.
Oh man,
more of a throwback.
Yeah,
Aerosmith. Bon Jovi. That's another throwback.
I love these.
Bon Jovi could be cool. I don't know this group.
Are you just not a big '80s rock guy?
I like Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi's cool.
Yeah, but you didn't really seem to have a reaction to Aerosmith.
I'm not a huge. I don't know much about Aerosmith. I'll be completely honest. And that
You're not a big fan of Aerosmith.
I don't know enough
but you're a big
about
fan
Aerosmith.
of Steven Tyler.
I don't know.
He's the lead singer of
Okay.
Aerosmith.
See, I don't know. I don't know literally anything about Aerosmith. So I probably know their songs. Like they're probably a band. I know their songs, but I don't know who they are. I don't know this band.
I love both of those.
I don't know this band. Maybe you know them, but I am not familiar with them. So I had to look them up. I still don't know about them, but someone Someone said Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit would rock the stadium, man. Oh,
I don't know
my
Limp Bizkit.
goodness.
I don't know Limp Bizkit. I was a
Golly.
little worried to say that one.
No,
I didn't know
dude, Limp Bizkit. Oh, man.
you like that one.
That would be
that's
awesome.
a fan
Do
favorite.
you not
of
remember
yours.
the song? Rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, rolling.
Oh, yeah, I know
rolling,
that song.
rolling.
I know
That's
that
Limp
song.
Bizkit.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of bands that I know a song. I just don't know who they are. But that, I looked them up. That, based on the pictures I saw, that fits.
Yeah, very 2000s rock band.
That really does fit. So
I love these. Keep them coming. This is awesome.
All right. Someone said Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake take two. I mean, I guess we could try it again. Maybe it gets better. I don't know.
What's that? Everything works out the second go around?
Second time's a charm or something like that.
I think so.
Someone asked how old I am. 25. I don't know.
I'm a year younger, and I know all these guys.
Man, I don't know a lot of band names. I can tell you, I can tell you their songs, but I just don't know the names. Like, I know the name Aerosmith. Like, don't get me wrong. I've certainly heard of Aerosmith. I just don't know their names off the. I feel like I'm being attacked now by you and some of the listeners about Aerosmith.
Hey, we're just.
I don't like this.
We're just out here giving suggestions for halftime performances. You're taking it a little personal.
We're getting a lot of text messages about halftime show recommendations.
I love it.
So we'll get back into this in our next segment, but we do need to get to a break. When we return, it'll be time for big number of the day. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
I got all the answers. Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. Do you know what Penny Hardaway and I have in common? We should both be in that building celebrating the best basketball players of all time. Of course, I'll have to buy a ticket to get in, but he should already be there. But seriously, we both surround ourselves with the best people we can find. We work hard to achieve our goals, and we are both among the best in our respective fields. At Fiveash, we can't win titles or get national awards, but what we can and do strive to do is give 100% of ourselves to give you the best product possible and one you can be proud of. So if you need a roof, siding, or gutters, give us a call at 901-367-0050, and we will do everything we can to provide you the best of everything. Fiveash Roofing. Fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Drive like a pro and support a great cause during the sales drive at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, and Landers Ford North in Covington. We've provided over 100 new Fords to be driven by the pros at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Now they're all being sold with demo prices. A portion of the proceeds go directly to the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. This is a once-a-year opportunity to trade up to a 2025 Ford Expedition or Explorer. Demo priced below market value. That's right. Demo price 2025 Fords below market value. Visit LandersMemphis.com or come see us at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, or Landers Ford North in Covington. With our Landers Easy Pass, you can get top dollar for your trade-in to help you save even more. Don't miss your chance. Reserve your demo price 2025 Ford driven by a pro at the FedEx St. Jude Championship before they're sold. Remember, if it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Uncorn flavor, Corky's barbecue. We're cooking it up, down home way. Hickory smoke flavor like the good old days.
Hey y'all, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. With over 175,000 cars served in our drive-thru, 4,000 online pickup orders, and 1,500 party packs delivered to offices and events every year, Corky's is your trusted go-to barbecue for parties. Our party packs start at just $6.99 per person. You can choose 1, 2, or 3 meat combos, pick your favorite sides, and as you know, Corky's always gives you plenty of food, so you never worry about running out. Whether it's pickup or delivery, we've got you covered. Corky's makes it easy to impress your guests. Visit Corky'sBBQ.com to order for your next gathering today.
Uncorn flavor, Corky's barbecue.
Now back back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Landers Ford in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
And she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, well, before we get to my big number of the day, I feel like I'm still being attacked for allegedly not knowing Aerosmith. I just want to say this. I don't think I ever said I didn't know who Aerosmith is.
I was just pointing out you didn't have a reaction to
That's
Aerosmith.
the problem. Is I just kind of skipped over Aerosmith and moved on to
like,
whatever the second one was. I
cool.
think it was Journey or something like that. It's like, okay, Aerosmith
Bon
in
Jovi.
there. It was Bon Jovi. That's right. Well, someone else texted in Journey, so I couldn't remember what band it was.
Oh, Journey
that,
would be, Journey would
be
feed
cool.
families.
Journey would be cool. Bon Jovi would be cool. Aerosmith would be cool. Like, am I making you happy
All right,
now?
so maybe we're asking the wrong people, but still keep sending in your suggestions. Who would you want?
It's a great question. It's something I've not thought about very much of who I would want.
Well, because
the halftime
all of
show
our
to
listeners
be.
are giving these great
They're
80s
great
and
answers.
90s rock bands. We even got a 2000s rock band in
So
there.
it's a Tenacious D. That's
I love it.
Jack Black's. Group.
Actually, we have that's on the same wavelength.
8 Ball and MJ. 8 Ball and MJG. That'd be great. I'd love that.
Yeah, well, Tenacious D, I feel like, is the same wavelength as Weird Al, but I think Tenacious D would be incredible.
So
that would be a very entertaining show.
I just want to. I'm gonna get to my big number because we have to get to a break here in a second. We can get back into this conversation at 5:30, and maybe I'll have an answer then of who I. So that's a tease for you. At 5:30, I'll tell you my list, my short list of Super Bowl.
You know what? I'll give you mine, too.
performances. Yeah, we'll have our short list ready for halftime show performances. So to make sure you're tuned in at 5:30. I just want to make these two things crystal clear before I get to my big number. I do know Aerosmith.
Okay.
I know a lot of songs by Aerosmith.
Good.
I looked it up to double check. I know a lot of songs by Aerosmith.
Very nice.
I don't know what the other thing I wanted to clarify is, but I do want to clarify that I know exactly who Aerosmith is.
Okay.
I don't want there to be any confusion on Bryant doesn't know Aerosmith.
I didn't think there was
'Cause
any doubt.
I felt like that was what was being alleged by you, and you alone.
Well, I said you didn't have a reaction to
Didn't
it.
have a reaction.
So that just tells me that you're not a fan of Aerosmith.
Someone said Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen.
Well, if we want a country show, hey, well,
Morgan Wallen
hey,
is very popular.
Keep that
not my style.
Not
but-
mine either. I love Luke Combs though, but keep that in the back of your pocket for when Tennessee finishes their new stadium and a Super Bowl comes to Nashville.
Man, that's not a bad
that
option.
would be amazing.
That is not a bad option. Okay, quickly, because we do need to get to a break.
Of course.
Here in a second. My big number today is the number 25.
No way.
I'm sorry, 20.
Oh.
20. It is the number 20, but it does have 25 in it. But my big number is 20. TCU is the only FBS team in the last 20 seasons to have two 25 or more yard rushing touchdowns, a 25 or more yard passing touchdown, a 25 or more yard interception return touchdown, and a 25-plus yard fumble return touchdown, all in the same game. It was also Belichick's first game with North Carolina, and Bill Belichick had never allowed all of those things over an entire season as a head coach, much less one game. Now, again, that is the NFL, so it's a little different.
It is a little
And I think
different.
it really highlights that this North Carolina team is just not a very competitive, not a very
70
good football
new
team.
players.
What did you think about, I mentioned it, I don't remember if it was with Coach West or with David Cohn, but me and a buddy of mine, we kind of went through.
I think it was Tommy.
I think it was. It feels like a 5-6 win team, maybe at best.
Oh, I think that's very accurate. I think that would be because you got to think North Carolina had 70 new players come in to want to play for Bill Belichick in Chapel Hill, but I mean, there's just not a lot of hype behind it. Like I remember I picked TCU pretty evidently because they had a really good offensive line. They had a great quarterback with a former backup for Tennessee. He's finally getting a shot, and he's letting himself shine now. But I think that's very accurate. I think 6 is a little bit bold for him to get a bowl bid in his first year, so I can definitely see 5. 5 might be the best case scenario. I could see a 4 or 5 win team this year.
Ugly. Your big number?
My big number is 25, and in honor of NFL kicking off tomorrow, I decided what is one of the greatest opening games that we've had in NFL history. Let me take you back to 1950, the Browns versus the Eagles. This is coming off the Eagles winning back-to-back NFL championships. This was back when it was called, when they were in the, the All-America Football Conference. The AAFC, way back when. Eagles coming off back-to-back NFL championship wins, came out, and they were thinking, all right, Eagles are going to roll over a lesser Browns team. They're not going to do that well. Cleveland delivered a statement win, routing Philadelphia, beating them by 25, 35-10 in front of a massive crowd of more than 71,000 fans. And this decisive victory proved the Browns could compete with the top NFL teams that year, led by quarterback Otto Graham.
I love it. Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow night, the NFL, just for the NFL to get started.
Absolutely.
In addition to the Cowboys playing. But we need to get to a break, wrap up this first hour, and when we return, we're going to talk some Arkansas State football. They've got a big one against Arkansas this week. And Kara Ritchie from the Arkansas State Football Radio Network, she joins us next on Sports Time.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002.
Good afternoon. Busy than it was 15, 20 minutes ago.
A beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations. Fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. I'd sure love to see you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake and Little Rock. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Sports 56 traffic.
Out to 385 as you get on to Bill Morris Parkway. So far, so good. Out towards the Collierville area, a couple of spots here where it's picking up going outbound on Sam Cooper, right on schedule there, actually all the way up past Perkins. Working your way south of Memphis, you could run into some showers down through there in parts of DeSoto County. Weimer's Jewelry is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. Go by and see them at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, no Brett this afternoon. Bryant and Landon with you, and we've talked a lot of college football today, but there's a pretty big game over in Arkansas this weekend as Arkansas State takes on the Razorbacks in Little Rock this Saturday. And joining us now to talk some Arkansas State, Kara Ritchie from the Arkansas State Football Radio Network. She joins us now. Kara, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. A lot to get to with this game against Arkansas and Arkansas State. I want to start off with this Arkansas State team. One game in the books, I know still very early in the season, but how good do you think this Arkansas State football team can be with the season as a whole?
If they play the way that they did in the second and third quarters against Southeast Missouri on Saturday, there's a lot of potential for this team, especially on offense behind quarterback Jalen Rayner, who was just so in control Saturday. On the flip side of that, they started a little bit slow, especially on the defense, and then the final 9 minutes or so, which was more or less backups, got a little bit wonky. So if they play like that, then all of a sudden maybe you lower the expectation level a little bit for this team. But when it was on Saturday, it was really, really on, again, especially with the offense, numerous different playmakers stepping up in addition to Rayner. So that is something that definitely gave me optimism for the year looking ahead. But again, just some mistakes that need to be cleaned up from Saturday for this team to be able to reach its potential.
Well, you mentioned Jalen Rayner, a really fun player, but who were some of those other guys that stepped up and could be real playmakers this weekend and for the season as a whole?
Well, there's a couple of guys that are known commodities. You look at wide receiver Corey Rucker, who is Jalen Rayner's number one target. He actually entered the year as the active leader in FBS reception yards. So not only is he known around Arkansas State, I mean, that's the guy who's leading the way nationally as well. He's A-State's all-time leader in receiving yards. He's actually entering year 6, so a lot of experience, and he had a redshirt year and a COVID year. So he's well known. He is a standout, dynamic player. He is consistent. He makes all of the highlight catches, and that's going to be the top target. But we knew about that coming in. In the run game, you've also got Jaquez Cross, who is going to be kind of the lightning part of A-State's Thunder and Lightning running back combo. He got a lot of touches. He scored both a receiving and a rushing touchdown, flashing back to Saturday against Southeast Missouri. But there's just so much new on this Arkansas State roster that was the big storyline going into Saturday for me. What additional new faces and new playmakers would step up? In the run game, you've got a transfer from Southern Miss by the name of Kenyon Clay. He's more of like that Thunder-type running back when you're thinking of a Thunder and Lightning combo, right? He's a bigger bruising back. He was able to get some tough yards on Saturday. And then several new faces that stepped up in the receiving game. Overall, 10 different players caught passes on Saturdays. and some guys that had really good games included Chauncey Cobb, who's a redshirt sophomore and has been at A-State for his whole career, but really hasn't saw the field much. Then also transfer tight end Tyler Fortenberry had a really good game, as well as returning wide receiver Hunter Summers. So a lot of different guys on offense that got your attention on Saturday.
I want to get back to this team in a second, but we know it's a big week. It's a big game on Saturday against Arkansas in Little Rock. What has this week been like already? It's Wednesday. What has the talk around town been? How excited are people about facing the Razorbacks?
It's still, I honestly still feel like it's a little bit surreal. We've just had these conversations for years and years and years and years. I've been reading newspaper articles this week from like the 1970s about whether or not this game would get played, and then conversations and quotes from Coach Larry Lacewell, who was at Arkansas State in the 80s. So these are just conversations that have been going on for so long. The game was agreed to in 2021, and it's kind of one of those things that when it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's going to happen, and then it's out of your mind for a little bit, and then now all of a sudden it's here, and it seems like every single day the conversations around the game, the excitement around the game, it's like they grow by an exponential factor. I can't even wrap my head around what Saturday is going to be like, walking up to the alumni tailgate with just the number of football alumni that are going to be at this game from all over the country, and just how many people have waited so long for this game. It is absolutely wild that it is finally happening.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You mentioned wild. You called it surreal. It's not a word I love to use, but would you consider this Arkansas State's kind of Super Bowl of a game?
No, not really. I mean, look, it's huge. And if you ask some fans, they're going to say yes. But you look ahead to week 3, and A-State has Iowa State playing in Jonesboro. Depending on how this week unfolds, not just for Iowa State, but then also around the country, there's a chance that Iowa State could be a top 15 team.
Yeah.
And if that happens, they would probably be the highest-ranked opponent ever to play in Jonesboro. So while obviously if you're a player, you certainly have to acknowledge the historical aspect of this game. At the same time, you can't get too caught up in the emotion of it because, again, you've got another huge opportunity coming up on the horizon the following week.
That is incredible. I don't think I realized that game was a home game for Arkansas State
Yeah.
next week against Iowa State. That is awesome. That's going to be a huge game. You're absolutely right. So 2 big-time opponents for Arkansas State over the next 2 weeks, and then they get right into Sun Belt Conference play after that. So really important games coming up. But when you look at this Arkansas team, what stands out to you about them, and what are some areas that you think Arkansas State could really exploit?
Well, I'll be honest, Taylon Green, Arkansas's quarterback, scares the heck out of me. Yeah. He is just a really, really talented dual-threat guy. And just look in general, A-State has not fared well over the years against dual-threat quarterbacks. And this year's defense, is dramatically different than last year's. Completely new personnel, completely new coaching staff, new scheme, new defensive coordinator. You name it, it's new, it's different. But A-State closed out the regular season last year against Old Dominion, and they had a dual-threat quarterback, and he was their backup dual-threat quarterback, and he still just absolutely torched Arkansas State. So A-State learned what not to do if you go back and watch that film from last year. And Taylon Green's going to be a much tougher challenge. So they've got some playmakers there, obviously, on offense. They've got some new faces on defense. They've got a good linebacking core, a great player up front in Cam Ball. They're just going to be a team that has more depth on paper, on more athleticism on paper. But if you're looking for areas where A-State might be able to exploit, they've got some new faces there at secondary. And what we saw with A-State in the past game in week 1, yes, it was against an FCS opponent. But again, Jalen Rayner was just in so control of that game. He was able to get the ball to so many different playmakers. I think that might be an area if A-State can get it going in the pass game early where maybe they can test the Hogs.
Yeah, looking at how both Arkansas State and Arkansas performed last week, both very high production on offense, and a lot of that came through the air. So can you give us a peek into this Arkansas State defense and what kind of weapons you guys have that could potentially slow down this passing game that Arkansas has been working on?
Well, sure. And I'll be honest with you, with all of the new on the A-State defense, I'm still learning. I feel like I know this team really, really well, but you go back to last year and A-State had to replace all of its top 10 tacklers in terms of production, and I want to say 17 out of the top 20. So I am still learning about who's going to step up and really be a playmaker for this defense. We saw some flashes of it last week. I really liked the linebacker play. And one of the things that stood out to me, A-State was led in tackles last week by a true freshman by the name of Nigel Nelson. So clearly he had a fantastic debut. And freshmen, usually, they're going to make freshman mistakes, but usually they also get better as the year goes on. So I'm excited to see what Nelson can do. You've also got, some elder statesmen, some experienced guys. A-State did not get much from Javonte Mackey last week. He didn't play very much. Of course, he was a guy who started his career at A-State as a linebacker, then went to Memphis. Unfortunately, did not get on the field for the Tigers because of a knee injury. But now he's back at A-State, and they tried him out a little bit at defensive end. This fall moved him back to linebacker, but that was late towards camp. So he didn't play much last week because I think he's still kind of getting back acclimated to that spot. But I would expect him to be a playmaker there in the linebacker core. And then up front, man, Cody Figler is just one of those bowling ball dudes that is there at the interior of the defensive line. He recorded A-State's first sack of the season last week, and I think he is going to be a huge addition there in the trenches.
You mentioned earlier Jalen Rayner, a guy that has been really fun to watch in his time at Arkansas State, a guy that's been around for now a couple of years. What has jumped out to you the most since the first time you watched Jalen Rayner in an Arkansas State uniform and then seeing him in game one of this season? Yeah. Where has he improved the most throughout his collegiate career?
One of the things that stood out to me right out of the gate with Jalen Rayner, when he was a true freshman, when he was still third on the depth chart, when he first got to A-State, he has just always been so comfortable leading the A-State offense. And, of course, quarterback is such a key leadership position. So it's been on the field, it's been off the field. Even when he was 18 years old, he was so ready for that moment, so ready to step into it. I think since then, we've seen such growth with the intangibles. We've also seen some better things happen, obviously, on the field. Last year, he didn't have the greatest of starts, and his interception numbers ticked up a little bit. But if you go and you look at the last 3 or 4 games of the season for A-State, and then, of course, how Game 1 went this year, he was just so spot on, so in command, so in control. It's his third season working with offensive coordinator Keith Heckendorf. So anything that you would want to see, I felt like he was able to do that. Smart decisions, smart plays, crisp passes, and being spot on with his targets. I do think he will have to change his decision-making a little bit this week with Arkansas because there's some things he got away with Saturday just from a pure athleticism standpoint that he's probably not going to be able to get away with coming up in week 2. But he's smart enough to know that. He's smart enough to make those changes.
We're talking to Kara Ritchie. She joins us to talk Arkansas State football. She's part of the Arkansas State Football Radio Network. Butch Jones, he's now been with Arkansas State a handful of years now. What have you thought of the job he's done as the head coach of Arkansas State?
It's gotten better every single year, right, under Butch Jones. The first 2 years were tough. I don't think when he got to Jonesboro, maybe we were aware of quite how bare the cupboard was. Because a 2-win season, a 3-win season, that's tough for a fan base. And look, everybody wants change and wants growth and wants progress immediately after the gate. So it's probably a little bit more slow going than the A-State fans wanted. But now that foundation is in place, and we saw in 2023 a 6-win season. And last year we saw A-State end the year with a bowl win, and that was the first win since 2019. So now all of those things that maybe get talked about too much, the culture and the intangibles, whether that's talked about too much or not, it's established now. So we've seen some high-profile recruits come in, some guys with some Power 4 offers that he's been able to land. We've seen development. We've seen some good work done, some good gets in the transfer portal. So it continues to trend in a good direction. Now, with so many newcomers this year, I feel like the talent is as good or better than it's been for any team so far in the Butch Jones era. But with 70 newcomers, how quickly are they able to put it all together and gel? And that will be the big test for Jones and his staff this year.
Absolutely. Where do you think this Arkansas State roster, and again, still very early, so these are tough questions, and I apologize. Where do you think they stand among the rest of the Sun Belt?
That's a great question, and I'll be honest, I'm not going to try and answer it, and here's why. Because, as mentioned, A-State has 70 newcomers.
Right.
That's not the top number in the Sun Belt, by the way. You have a situation at Southern Miss where their head coach, Charles Huff, was at Marshall last year. He grabbed 19 guys from Marshall, but they have somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 newcomers. You look all around the Sun Belt, and even the teams that have low numbers in terms of transition, those are still teams with 45 newcomers. So at this point in time, unfortunately, I did in week one watch some games. I did in week one look at all the Sun Belt box scores and see who stood out. But in terms of starting to stack teams up against each other, I'm going to wait and make some judgments until non-conference play is wrapped and we've got a little bit more of a body of work to judge some teams by.
Kara, I think that's the perfect answer, honestly.
That's good.
I knew it was a tough question when I asked it, and I think you answered it perfectly. A couple more things back to this Arkansas game. I know, obviously, you cover and you do a great job covering Arkansas State, but I know you interact with a lot of Arkansas fans, I'm sure, just being in that state. I'm curious, and I think we lost Kara there, so we will try to get Kara back on here for a couple more minutes. We're having some troubles with the phone lines today. I don't know what's going on today, but we are having some real issues. I guess I'll finish my question that I can just leave out there to float, but I'm curious Kara's thoughts on the job that Butch Jones has done, or not Butch Jones, we already asked her that, but the job that Sam Pittman has done at Arkansas and kind of where that Arkansas program is as a whole, because it is definitely not in a great spot, and we've talked about it a lot, that this Arkansas program, and they might be looking for a change at the end of the season, certainly with Sam Pittman, could be looking at a change at head coach. This feels like could be a really fun game in Little Rock. I'm not sure what the spread is for this game. I've not looked at that. I would assume that Arkansas is
minus 23.5.
Okay, minus 23.5. I'm glad that Landon had that at the ready. But so they're a pretty big favorite, and I think this one could be interesting and could be fun. And maybe Arkansas State can keep this one close. I believe that we do have Kara Ritchie back with us, so I am glad we can wrap things up with her. Kara, I'm so sorry. We've been having a little bit of phone issues today, so I apologize for losing you, but with just a couple minutes left, I wanted your thoughts of where this Arkansas program is right now and where Sam Pittman is as a coach.
I don't know if their fan base is in a great spot. I think there's in the sense that I think there's a lot that rides on this season. I think there were some fans that wanted to see the end of the Pittman era after the 2024 season, even though they were able to get to a bowl game and win that bowl game. I think there are higher expectations there because that's not a team that has competed for an SEC championship in a really, really long time. And there's a pretty big gulf right now between Arkansas and teams like LSU and Georgia. So I think there was a little bit of a push to move on from Sam Pittman at the end of last season. And I think that depending on how this year unfolds, it could be it. There's going to have to be some more wins this year. There's going to have to be some wins over a top SEC team somewhere along the way, I think, for Pittman to continue to remain on the hill.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing for you, Kara, your prediction, your expectation for Saturday in the game between Arkansas State and Arkansas.
I mean, it's going to come down to whoever does the best job in corralling the opposing team's quarterback, which I know is kind of like a Captain Obvious answer, but neither team in the past has particularly fared exceptionally well against dual threat quarterbacks. Whenever A-State's passed there just a little bit ago, and Taylor Green, of course, is going to be a huge challenge, but Jalen Rayner is a talented guy, and he's got that skill set and those capabilities of making plays happen in the pass game, in the run game. So it's not like he is going to be a super easy player for Arkansas to defend. So that's it. What team can make the opposing team more comfortable? What team can do their best to, if not completely shut down, then at least limit the opposing quarterback? And whoever does a better job of that is going to come out on top Saturday.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a really fun one. I'm excited to watch it. Kara, thank you so much for joining us. Always a lot of fun when you join us, and we'll definitely have to do this again soon.
All right. Enjoy the chat, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kara.
Right, thanks, Kara.
Kara Ritchie from the Arkansas State Football Radio Network. She joined us. Talk some A-State football. Big one for them against Arkansas this weekend. And should be a fun one. 23.5-point favorite. I don't believe this is going to be a game that we pick on Friday Football Forecast.
I don't know.
But so I don't want to give anything away. But again, I don't think it's a game that we will pick. Where are you leaning right now?
I mean, after talking to Kara, it sounds like there's a lot of pieces going into this game, and I think that's a really big point spread too.
It's a big number,
under 23.5. But she made a good point about Taylor Green being dual threat.
That's what scares me, man.
Arkansas State had a lot of trouble with that, especially. And I mean, was one of the things I love talking to people like her about. Just the brutal honesty of Old Dominion's backup dual threat quarterback was running all over him. So. I don't know. I mean, certainly each and every single year when you have a problem, that's one of the biggest things you address. And, of course, it's hard to really enact all that when you're playing a team like SEMO. But for them to still go out, have a really good day, passing, have a really good day. I mean, their running back had a breakout day. I think it was like some 13 carries, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, Cross looked really good out there too. So I don't know if I see an Arkansas State win, but with the point spread that big and they go out and compete, I can at least see them covering.
So what's the reaction? I know what the reaction is if Arkansas covers. It's okay, cool. You beat Arkansas State. What's the reaction if this is like a 2-touchdown game? You win by 14 points. Is it still kind of like, okay, you won the game early in the season, FBS opponent, you won the game?
Well, if you're expected with the line at 23.5, I think a 2-score game win is really disappointing. And I think it starts that little heat knob under Sam Pittman's seat of saying, hey, we expect you, SEC caliber, playing against a Sun Belt team. We expect you to go out there and take care of business and not let them get close.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's a good point. I mean, I think anytime you have a coach on the hot seat, anything outside of blowouts there's going to be
blowouts
somebody
in teams like in games like this.
Right.
I think if we're talking about that with Memphis the following week, not as big of a deal.
No, definitely. But it's someone's always going to have something to say, and I think,
of course.
Look, I'll sit here and I'll be completely honest. I bet on sports daily. Like I was betting on Serbia and Turkey basketball earlier today. Turkey won the game, won the game, love it, but whatever.
So that was
beside
your
the point.
Little brag input there.
There you go. I gotta get it in there somewhere.
We're
but,
proud of you.
So I say this as someone that gambles, and like on Saturday I'm laying on the couch betting on college football games. I think in terms of coaches being on the hot seat, point spreads are the worst thing that ever happened to coaches on the hot seat. Because now you have a line that Vegas is saying, you're supposed to win this game by this much points. Yes, this is what you are expected to win this game by. And so a coach like Sam Pittman or any coach, if Sam Pittman goes out there and wins this game by 17 points, that's a good win. 17 points is a lot of points in a football game. But there are going to be people out there that are going to go, they were 23.5-point favorites, and they didn't cover that spread. We got issues in Arkansas. And whether it's true or not, I think point spreads have really done a number on coaches on the hot seat, really coaches in general.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone is looking at these numbers and pointing at these lines and saying, well, Vegas saying you're a 3-point favorite. You should go out there and win, or you're a 10-point favorite. You went out there and only won by a field goal. Like, we got issues. So I think it's something interesting, and I'm definitely interested to watch that game.
Should be
on
a game
Saturday.
to keep your eye on.
Yeah,
at least.
It definitely will be. It will be, and that's a 4:00 game on ESPN Plus. A game being played in Little Rock. Well, we need to get to another break, but before we do that, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsor. It's Jaguar Bluff City, and they've been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. And their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, we need to get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending. That's next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgos. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar based. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to baste or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or a steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meats. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper was more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with a perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at the Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948, the Rendezvous.
Newsflash! Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has a warehouse full of inventory, and they need it cleaned out. Do your part to make room for new items, and you get great deals on almost everything. Listen up. All in-stock patio furniture, it's up to 80% off. You can get a 4-piece deep seating set for under $1,000. Chaise lounges. You buy one and you're going to need another, and that other one will be one half off. All Pollywood furniture, it's now 20 to 30% off. You buy any dining table, you're going to get an umbrella absolutely free, and they're not cheap. Now, is financing available? You better believe it. Special financing is a go. To sum it all up, Family Leisure has got to clear out its warehouse inventory, which means you're going to rack up the savings. Help Family Leisure clear out the warehouse. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together to clean out the warehouse.
Drive like a pro and support a great cause during the sales drive at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, and Landers Ford North in Covington. We've provided over 100 new Fords to be driven by the pros at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Now they're all being sold with demo prices. A portion of the proceeds go directly to the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. This is a once-a-year opportunity to trade up to a 2025 Ford Expedition or Explorer. Demo priced below market value. That's right. Demo price 2025 Fords below market value. Visit LandersMemphis.com or come see us at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, or Landers Ford North in Covington. With our Landers Easy Pass, you can get top dollar for your trade-in to help you save even more. Don't miss your chance. Reserve your demo price 2025 Ford driven by a pro at the FedEx St. Jude Championship before they're sold. Remember, if it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. I'm looking at a crash. It looks like it just happened on Bill Morris Parkway. It's going to be eastbound. That's going outbound on Bill Morris 385 just before you get to Hickory Hill, and it is affecting that traffic coming off 240 now as you get on to Bill Morris Parkway going outbound. It's the left lane that looks like it's blocked due to this crash on Bill Morris Parkway outbound there in Hickory Hill. It's already heavy there this time of the afternoon. You got all that rain now moving through certain parts of Fayette County out there, so be careful. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your full-service family-owned jewelry store. Stop by and see them at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Here comes the hero man, says he's a people fan. Here comes the hero man.
into Sports Time. Brian Landon with you as we got to talk about what's trending. There are some actual stories I want to talk about during this segment, but I'll get to that in a little bit because we had a lot of people texting in earlier about halftime performances because earlier today, it was really an offhand comment that got us into this, but earlier today...
Look at what it sparked into
I mean, honestly, it turned into a whole segment of our top five. So earlier today, Roger Goodell was talking about things and was asked about Taylor Swift performing at halftime, and basically he said, maybe. I don't know, maybe. Was basically the answer he gave. And so it caused me to ask you who your halftime show performer would be, and it caused a lot of people, well, we asked the listeners to text in and tell us their halftime performance. If you want to text in, if you're just now tuning in, you want to text in your option for a Super Bowl halftime show, please send it in. CC Log Cabin listener line 901-360-8255. Let us know. But you asked me.
I did.
For my list, and I told you at the time I didn't really have one. So we're going to quickly go through our list, and then I do have a couple stories I want to get to before we're done with this segment. But the problem I face, and I saw a couple of text messages, and great text messages. I'm sorry we have not been able to get through all of them. But I've seen some text messages that they're great. Like, if I could see Freddie Mercury and Queen perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, sign me up. Problem is, can't happen. Freddie Mercury, unfortunately, passed away. So when I think of like people I would want to see do halftime show performances, there's like this end of it where my top two, if it's just anybody dead or alive, Elvis number one, Michael Jackson number two. I think those could be interchangeable if you want them to be. But I think at all time, those are the top two. Go argue with the wall. Like that is the list right there, at least where it has to start.
For you.
For anybody, I think. That's where it should start.
Well, mine would be a little bit different.
Okay. Well, they would. I think at least one of those would be on your list.
Because I agree with one of our listeners that texted it and said Journey.
Journey's a good one.
Journey halftime show
I love Journey. Journey would be great.
Amazing.
So I have that end where it's people that are unfortunately passed away that I love listening to, or it's like people I listen to now that I don't think would be anywhere close to performing at the Super Bowl. And so I'm not going to make a list where I put like Tyler Childers.
So
like,
this is
love
a list
Tyler
of
Childers, but
realistic.
This is
they could actually
my
perform.
realistic list. Okay, we'll go from 5 to 1. We do have a couple OLIs on here. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Of course we do.
Double check and make sure I have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. OLI number 1, Gucci Mane.
Okay.
Oh man, that'd be fun.
Today's day and age with rap and
That'd
stuff.
be fun.
Personally, it's not for me.
That'd be really fun. I'd love that.
I'm not a big rap guy.
I would be all over that. Okay, my second OLI, the Eagles. The Eagles would be fun.
Okay.
Eagles would be really good. I love Eagles.
Especially if the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl.
Oh, man. Well, Hotel California, that would be fun.
I mean,
Eagles with the Eagles.
Eagles with the Eagles, man, that would be something
All
else.
right, now my top 5.
Okay, let's go.
Number 5, Lil Wayne.
Okay.
All right, Lil Wayne would be cool. A lot of people wanted him to perform last year at the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
I didn't know that.
And he didn't end up performing. So Lil Wayne is number 5 for me. I think that would be really, really fun. Number 4 for me, Elton John.
Really?
Love Elton John. Oh, man.
Are they going to come
That'd
back?
be fun.
Wow.
Be fun. Now, that's the other question. Like, can these guys, can they still rock? I don't know.
He can crocodile rock.
3. That's a great point by you. Number 3, Billy Joel. Oh, man. Billy Joel would be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
He's selling out Madison Square Garden all the time. Number 2, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Let's
dance.
Let's do it.
And number 1, Kansas. Oh, Kansas was actually here a couple weeks or like a month or two ago.
Wow.
Performing down in South Haven. So I don't know. Maybe somebody can tell us how they did, if they can still rock. I think Kansas Super Bowl. Maybe that one should be a little lower because I don't know.
If Kansas City goes back.
That would be fun. But I love Kansas. I think Kansas would be an awesome Super Bowl show.
Really, really
now,
fun.
I tried to start doing like a realistic list, and I think if you do
So that's actually the direction I took, was a realistic list, not of exactly who I want.
Well, see, that was more of like a realistic. I think all of those people are big enough to perform the Super Bowl, and it would be like a good show that people would be excited for. But I think if you're going like, if I'm in the meeting room with the NFL and we're trying to decide who the halftime show performer is, I think number 1 and number 2 that you have to ask and get a no from starts with Taylor Swift, and second's Drake. I think those are the top 2 for today if you were doing a Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 biggest names in music right now. You ask those two, they'd probably tell you no, and I don't know where you go on the list. From that, Morgan Wallen's a big name. Maybe he would be next on the list.
Save all the country singers for the Nashville Super Bowl.
Yes.
All right, my list. I don't have an OLI.
That's okay. It's a staple for me. I have to have an OLI.
It is. I have my top 5 going from 5 to 1. My number 5, Maroon 5.
See, I was thinking about Maroon 5, but you've been there, done that,
Well, here's the thing.
It's been
a while.
They
just dropped a new album.
Is it good? I haven't listened to it.
I haven't listened to it either, but I am going to go hear them rock out in Nashville
are you? That'd be cool.
in November. Maroon 5, they have a bang. You can really choose any song from Maroon 5's bang.
I loved their Super Bowl performance. It was great.
Let's run it back. Let's get that Maroon V on the field, whatever it is. I think that would be good. Another returner, number 4. I already mentioned him, Creed. Feel like they would be great.
Cool.
I
mean, we had a couple Creeds in here.
I mean, it would be fantastic. All right, my top 3 are not necessarily who I would want, but who I think is realistically in line to either perform at this year's or definitely within the next couple
Where's
years.
Where's the Super Bowl this year?
Super Bowl, isn't it in California?
I have no clue.
I think it is because I saw the logo was crazy.
I think it is.
Might have had.
I think it is California.
I think it had the Golden State Bridge too.
In California.
Yeah. So my number 3, Dua Lipa.
I thought about Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa, I think she's growing. She's getting big. I personally don't know any of her songs, but
she's cool.
I mean, a lot of people would know her. Super Bowl ticket sales would be crazy because.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's one.
Okay,
yeah. I guess I know that one. I guess I know that one. I don't really know. I don't listen to Dua Lipa.
It's at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. So,
okay. Yeah. My number 2. Dude's got a big name going on. He's still really, really relevant. Post Malone.
I kind of thought about Post Malone.
I think Post Malone would be really.
Fun.
I
like Post Malone.
Yeah, Post Malone, great
Post
dude, funny dude. So definitely, I think it would be more entertaining than anything else. But my number 1, who I think is one of the biggest names in the music industry right now, who's blowing up beyond all reason. Sabrina Carpenter.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
I think if it's not Taylor this year, I think it's got to be Sabrina.
That'd be a good one. She certainly is one of the biggest things out there right now.
Yeah, which is funny because she herself is a really small individual.
Very short, yes.
But now, if we're talking about people who I would love to see up there, all of our texters.
I was about to say, I think you agreed with a lot of these. Text
Tenacious
messages.
D would be hilarious. Journey would be phenomenal.
Shane texted in his top 5.
Let's hear it.
Limp Bizkit.
Yep,
a group
love that.
Someone else mentioned. I think it might have been Shane that mentioned that earlier. Nickelback.
I love it.
Disturbed.
Dude, you and I need to hang out. These are people I listen to.
This is one person. This is top 5. This
is awesome.
D12. I like D12. I don't know. Can we get D12 back together? I don't know. I don't know what the.
I'm not sure
how everybody's doing with D12, and then Tenacious D with David
D.
Groth. Dave Groth.
Yeah.
So that's his top 5.
Man,
it sounds like you love his top 5.
I think Disturbed would be awesome.
Yeah.
But we also got to think that a lot of today's community is not into really that style of music anymore.
But it sounds like you are. Maybe I
am. I work out every day.
That's true. So that's
that's right up my alley of stuff that I listen to.
Thank you, Shane, for texting that list in.
Yes,
really
thank you. That
appreciate it.
I really like that.
Someone else texted in Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll,
right
I think.
Cool.
He would go hand in hand with the Nashville Super Bowl.
He'd be good. Oh yeah, no, he'd be.
I think that might be the dude to book.
And I don't know. I don't believe me. Like I don't keep up with all the Super Bowls and how they do it. But last year's New Orleans Super Bowl, especially before the game, with how they did the national anthem and a lot of different things before the game. And who was halftime last year? I don't even remember who halftime was.
Wasn't
last year.
it Kendrick?
It was Kendrick last year. So that wasn't.
He still did the diss on Drake.
Yeah, that's right. But that wasn't New Orleans. But like everything. Every other person that performed was super New Orleans, super Louisiana.
Yeah.
So I think like Nashville, you could have some good. Good
it would be
cooking.
A melting pot with all those top guys.
Yeah, no, it'd be really
good.
But some fun stuff there with halftime show, and who knows when we know who the halftime show performer is this year. Story I did want to get to, and we only have a couple minutes left, so I do want to point this out. Story that came out today, and it's part of a new book that is I don't know if it's been released or if it's coming out, but Dan Hurley co-wrote a book, and if it isn't out yet, it's coming out this month. But in the book, he talks about how he contemplated stepping down after last season due to the emotional drain of trying to win 3 national championships in a row. This was in his new book. They had a part of, I guess, the book, what he said in there. So I'm going to read it real quick, kind of long, so stick with me because I do want to read this from Dan Hurley. I thought about leaving, taking a gap year, resigning as head coach of the UConn Huskies. I knew my mind and I knew my body, and I could feel that I was completely cooked, just burnt. I didn't even know how I was standing. I stared at the office walls, muttering, conducting a brutal review of our season. I didn't build a strong enough roster. I wasn't a good leader. I let everyone down in Maui. I lost control emotionally at various points. I came in some days and was defeated when I needed to be positive and inspiring. Then I went through the self-lacerating of what ifs. What if we'd played a little bit better at Maui? What if we hadn't blown the game against Seton Hall? What if we'd had a better seed than an 8 seed and hadn't had to face a number 1 in the second round? Who knows? It was unhealthy to be rambling that way. I was unhealthy. I desperately needed to get out of town, flee to the Standard Highway, Dorado Beach in San Juan. I needed to do some healing, not think about basketball for a few days, but that wasn't possible in the new era. The transfer portal and NIL deals made every college basketball player a free agent, so right after the tournament, I needed to be in my office in stores. If I left town right then, I would not have had a team for the 2025-26 season. At that point, I wasn't even sure if I would return for the 2025-26 season. So, Dan Hurley just being very honest about kind of where he was at. And I think, look, I've been very I've been very clear about I like Dan Hurley. I think he's a great basketball coach. I don't mind his antics. If I'm being quite honest, I think a lot of them are humorous and funny and entertaining. So with that being said, I think you can also say that he is a very emotional person, like to a extreme. He is an emotional person.
Yeah.
And the problem when that happens is if you are living and dying with every single game, we saw it. I mean, you're in Maui. This is, you're in the first month of the season. You're only a couple weeks into the season. You're playing in Maui and you're dropping to your knees because, your guy missed a shot. Mm-hmm. When you've put that much pressure on yourself, as a coach, it is unhealthy, and you're probably not going to be in a good mental space. And so I think it's really cool to see Dan Hurley kind of talking about that and talk about I wasn't in a good place. I was not in a good mindset, and the idea that he contemplated, he thought about stepping away from coaching. He also talks about how he had conversations with some people at Fox about maybe if he did step down, going and being an analyst, being part of the Fox broadcasts for college basketball, kind of similar to what Jay Wright did. Mm-hmm. And so, I think it's an interesting thing to think about going into this season of where is he as a coach. He's reached the mountaintop. He's won back-to-back national champions. I do believe that if everything was written differently and we were talking about him as being, Lakers jobs open this offseason instead of last offseason, and they're on the phone with Dan Hurley of, do you want to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers? I think there's a much higher chance that he takes the job this offseason than last offseason, because last offseason he's chasing that third national championship, 3 in a row. And so, I think he could be one to watch of, maybe he's done everything, but at the same time, he is very much the guy that needs it. You can tell when you are that into every single game and you're living and dying by every single game, you've got to have it. So I don't know where I'm at with him of I thought about walking away, because I do think he even said a gap year. So it wasn't that kind of completely shut the door and be done with coaching. It was, I needed some time to decompress and not have anything to kind of have to look at with basketball and have to do that kind of day to day. So I don't know, really interesting stuff. I'll probably read his book, and I'm sure there's going to be other interesting things in there, but sounds like we might have been close to losing in my opinion, one of the best coaches currently in college basketball.
Oh, I think the staple of his track record in the past recent years solidifies that. He's, definitely one of the top dogs. But I like hearing that excerpt because it kind of gives us. I don't want to necessarily label it as the dark side of coaching, but definitely the toll that it takes on these coaches.
It's good to see because I think sometimes we get into the forum where these are coaches, this is their job, this is who they are, this is what they do, and everything's fine outside of it.
Well, I think you can even take the same kind of caliber with Kalen DeBoer right now. Like, just imagine how that dude feels right now.
Yeah.
He's a human too. He has feelings, and I mean, to a degree, he's got to be aware that he is letting down an entire Alabama nation right now, having 4 unranked losses in his first 2 seasons. Something Nick Saban it took him 200 games to accomplish something like that, and it's not even something to accomplish. It's something that you're suffering from. So, kind of seeing that and hearing that perspective, and I think that too is why we love talking with Coach Tommy West because he has that perspective of a coach of looking at the game in a different way of saying these are kids that you're dealing with. These are, real life situations that you're handling each and every single day. So I think it's a great perspective. I think it's actually a breath of fresh air to be like, hey, this is really what we're going through behind the scenes that we just don't show because we have to show up to these press conferences and say, hey, this is, stone cold, stone face, like, hey, we're excited about the season. We're going to bounce back. We're going to do all this stuff. It takes a toll. So that kind of stuff, I'm all on board for.
I'm definitely with you on that. One more text. We got a text
that
said, go. David Cohn. Put him on the
David Cohn Super Bowl halftime.
Maybe that's another one. We get it ready for the Nashville
What
Super
if we
Bowl.
get David Cohn at the halftime of Michigan and Ohio State this year?
I think we need to start working on that.
Sign him up right now.
I think we need to start working on that immediately. But right now, we need to get to our final break of the day. And when we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Moe's Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
If you're lucky, the next time you visit Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar, Harold will be behind the bar. You've probably been served by Harold at one time or another. He's a Memphis legend. Harold is the kind of bartender every bartender wants to be. He's been everywhere, seen everything, and done just about anything you can think of, and he has a story about everyone. Now, he's not going to force you to sit through stories if you want to just chat with your friends or be quiet by yourself. But if you engage with Harold at Bell Tavern, you won't regret it. If you want a cocktail and a tall tale, go to Bell Tavern.
2,400 customers without power in South Carolina.
Newberry, Michigan expected to be without power for 24 hours.
Over 25,000 people without power in Cleveland, Ohio.
These are real headlines from just the last few days. Power outages are happening more often and they're getting worse. If you don't have a backup generator, it's time to get one. But gas generators, they're loud, smelly, and produce dangerous carbon monoxide. The Grid Doctor 3300 solar generator from My Patriot Supply is different. It's whisper quiet, requires no fuel, and it's safe to use indoors. Best of all, My Patriot Supply is offering an incredible deal for listeners of this station. When you go to mypatriotsupply.com and order a Grid Doctor 3300, they'll include a free expansion battery that doubles your backup power at no additional cost. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now and get prepared. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight?
This is for all the biggest Crunch Time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
The ball game is over, and Memphis has its first win in 16 tries. Its first win ever against its fierce in-state rival Tennessee.
Goodbye! It's obviously Crunch Time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Crunch Time is brought to you by Moe's Southwest Grill. Need a crunchy bite to eat? Head to Moe's for nachos, crunch wraps, tacos, salads, and more. Moe's.com is your go-to for all your taco crunch time emergencies. Well, Landon, I'll keep this short and sweet because I know we'll talk about it more tomorrow. We'll talk about it with Keith Smith. But what I learned today is this story with Kawhi Leonard and aspiration and Steve Ballmer and what comes from this, because earlier this morning, it was just a story. It was Pablo Torre, had all of this information. It was just a story. But now this afternoon, it is developed into the NBA coming out and saying, we are launching an investigation into the Los Angeles Clippers. So curious to see where it goes from here. But again, go and watch the podcast. Go listen to it. Pablo Torre, so much information about what was going on behind the scenes with Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah, what I learned today, it's actually what I learned over this past weekend. I just am surprised nobody's really talked about it, but Garrett Nussmeier had a number change for his jersey. He wore number 13 last year, is now wearing number 18, and this is actually a prestigious number in the LSU program. It's awarded to the player who best embodies the traits of leadership, selflessness, and high character, and Nussmeier becomes the first quarterback to wear this number since this tradition started with Matt Mock back in 2003 when they led them to a national championship that year.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I kind of noticed it, and I didn't know the background to it, but I was like, hey, that's a different number, I believe. So
yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, definitely cool to see. Well, what I could have done without, it's actually something that happened yesterday, but it was something that we did not have enough time to get to, but the passing of basketball icon George Raveling yesterday, a guy that played college ball, coached college ball, was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame, into the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame. Really quickly, a story I did not know about him. Back in the 60s, he was hired to be a security guard for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and was on stage near Dr. King when he gave the I Have a Dream speech, and afterwards he asked Dr. King, hey, you mind if I get that copy of the speech? He said, sure, hand it to him. So for a long time, George Raveling had the physical copy of the I Have a Dream speech. How about that?
How about that? Well, earlier what I could have done without was Roger Goodell saying maybe to Taylor Swift in the halftime performance, and then it led to one of the most entertaining subjects of the day. So I guess there's nothing I could have done without today.
How about that? Well, tonight is going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure we're both beaming to some baseball before tomorrow night. We'll both be beaming to the NFL. Some good games on the slate later tonight, but that's all the time we have. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon. Crunch Time is brought to you by Moe's Southwest Grill. Need catering? Moe's Taco Truck is always ready to cater for you. Just give Jenny Nash a call at 901-606-3172. Moe's.com is your go-to for all your taco crunch time emergencies.
Let's up your life with Let's.
Surprise the family with a new club car and experience the best golf cart in the industry. A new golf cart is perfect for cruising the neighborhood, enjoying yourself at the lake, turning heads on the course, and just having something reliable to use around the yard. Ladd's has you covered with new and used golf cars. The new club car Onward, available in electric or gas and a variety of colors and features. Ladd's goes beyond the green. Whitten and I-40 or online at lads.net.